Home stretch here for the CNL 2026 season kickoff. My name is Blue Panda. Joining me on the mic tonight, Tiaki. Coming into this evening, 6 teams remaining. Unfortunately, we did send one coin and my coin into that 7th place. Decided yesterday it came out that one coin went a clean 2-0, so they do take that 7th place spot. But we have 4 teams down here in the lower bracket. One singular best of 3 win separates them from the Salt Lake City Major.
Yeah, I mean, let's just start with it, right? We got KingZero Esports going up against Wolves Esports. Absolutely 2 teams that you wouldn't really expect to meet each other in this bracket. But lo and behold, they have found each other in the lower quarterfinals. And I mean, let's just quickly talk about their group stages, their play-ins. KingZero Esports 2-1-0-1, absolutely being able to come in second. They did well enough in the Group A stage. And of course, Group B, the death group, Wolves Esports 1-0-1-2. And now they meet in the lower quarterfinals. This is where things are going to get a little bit interesting.
Yeah, it definitely makes for an interesting setup, of course. I mean, so many incredibly capable teams came into this playoffs bracket, but when you look at the likes of All Gamers and Edward Gaming, it was always kind of going to be a bit inevitable that they were looking to be the most likely upper finalists in this bracket so far. But yeah, 4 teams here, 2 map wins are all you need, and you will be heading over to that Salt Lake City Major. We have our 4 teams locked in, and then it is all down to the seeding through that lower semi-final, lower final, and of course grand final. But looking at our matches tonight, of course, like I said, that 7th place decider match was already played off, or it was on stream but without commentary. It was a pretty easy job for one coin. They take it out 2. I believe it was something along the lines of a 7-2, 7-2 even. It was, again, one coin just turning up. Mingaran has done so much to that team and made them look so clean. Yeah, 7-3, 7-2 by the end of it. But for the rest of the night, KingZero Esports, Wolves Esports up first. That one is going to be a bit of a brutal matchup. I'm excited for it. And then 4 Angry Men versus Tyloo to round it out. Now, Kitaki, I got talking to Diana about it yesterday. My call, I reckon Tyloo, off the back of their win yesterday, are going to be the ones to pull out the upset. I reckon they qualify.
Ooh, we're talking an underdog storyline, to be honest with you. 4 Angry Men have been absolutely dominating so far throughout the entirety of their playtime. They first won coin in the first week of the upper bracket quarterfinals, managed to secure it pretty quickly in terms of how they were playing, and when they went up against All Gamers, it was so close on both maps. They are a big contender, and as I mentioned going over that game back a few weeks ago, or I should say about a week ago, 4 Angry Men looked so competitive that they would push it through, but Tyloo, you've got to give it to them. They've been playing so exceptionally well, especially over the last couple of days. So anything can really happen coming down to that match. But we have KingZero versus Wolves.
Yeah, diving into our first match of the evening with the commentary team, KingZero Esports, Sunset Leanne, Momo Wings, Fiber, KZB come in here. And I mean, you've got a roster that has looked at least somewhat decent on paper. Like you said, they pulled up 3 victories. One of those being in overtime does mean that they drop a point, but they were sitting quite comfortably in that 2nd place spot. They did put up a massive showing throughout this regular season, but unfortunately, they just couldn't quite go toe-to-toe. They came close with All Gamers, but in that best-of-1 format, those little missteps can throw you off that pace speed.
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got to give it to people like KZB, people like Sunset. They've been absolutely doing so exceptionally well in their playstyles, putting up numbers on multiple different maps in multiple different situations. So it's absolutely expected for them to really show up. And of course, we can't count out Fiber either. He's been doing exceptionally well on the Ella and the Twitch in and about in every single game. Of course, Twitch, everyone loves the DMR instead of the F2 at the moment. They love using it on a consistent playstyle, but KingZero are coming from group bracket A. Yes, they were comfortable, but now they're going against a team that really had somewhat of a hard run trying to make it through.
I mean, not to mention the fact you got the experience of someone like Momorin, who formerly of AEPR, that somewhat controversial, but also historic roster, and Daystar, of course. So he's got a wealth of experience to add to this team. coming into this matchup, but their opponents far from slouches either coming into this matchup. Wolves Esports have battled their way to this point, taking a map off all gamers in that upper bracket and then just absolutely bulldozing OneCoin yesterday. And the man that I have my eye on today, CPK. This guy can make magic happen out of nowhere. Constant 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces around the map, completely shifting that momentum on a dime. So if anyone for this Wolves Esports roster is going to be that linchpin, that turning point that allows him to get a step up over KingZero, it's going to be him.
Well, look, if you're looking at CPK, I'm looking over at Recap. My man's been doing exceptionally well in games. He's been popping off to the highest degree. Yes, he has a little bit of inconsistency, but overall, he's able to work the objective, find those entry frags, and be able to really shift the momentum on the opposite side for any team that he's been going up against. Take into consideration, he just flanks. He's a flanker. Every time he's on defense, we always somehow see him appear behind the enemy team. Yes, sometimes it works, other times not so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Recap as the highest rated player in this Wolves roster, consistently just evolving. I think there is not a single member of this Wolves Esports team that is not willing to step up to that line and beyond it if the call is made, if that is required of them. And they put on an absolute masterclass yesterday. It was such an entertaining series to watch on Bank and then on Clubhouse, of course. They really, I mean, there were a couple of times OneCoin really threw a spanner in the works, really shifted that momentum and tried to completely jolt this Wolves Esports roster away from winning that series, but it didn't matter. Wolves consistently, especially with the hands of someone like Arfang, who is such an awesome anchor in the defense, righted the ship. They carried on that momentum, but looking at what could be played, I mean, so many maps have just sort of skated under the radar throughout the regular season and now blown up into popularity. I mean, Fortress goes from 0 plays to now 6 in the playoffs. You look at maps like Lair as well, that's making a resurgence here, but in terms of the veto, we go Clubhouse, Chalet, and Nighthaven Labs. I mean, Tiaki, you go to 2 of the most iconic maps in Asia Pacific to start things off, and then Nighthaven Labs to round it out. So CNL clearly has a couple of favorites when it comes to that map pool.
Yeah, well, the immediate thing to identify here is that Clubhouse managed to get through the ban phase. Wolves had a 90% chance to ban that off on a consistent basis. So the fact that that comes through, it's immediately picked up by KZ. They must be feeling confident going into that. And of course, our good old map of Chalet, the French Alps, or should I say log cabin. Love to have it up and available. But again, Nighthaven Labs, I don't know what it is about the CNL, but they love their Nighthaven Labs.
Yeah, oh, they do. They absolutely do. The most played map, but well and clear. 5 more appearances than Consulate. Even 14 Nighthaven Labs have been played. Not the most played in playoffs, funnily enough. That's Fortress at the moment. But as we see the teams making their way to the stage, it's interesting to sort of break down those numbers. Clubhouse has been leaning pretty drastically towards the defender side. 64% defender side win rate. So far, of 47 rounds, 30 of them have been defender-sided wins. Chalet, much more even affair, does in fact lean slightly towards the attack. In fact, the only map that actually leans toward attacker-sided. And I think that makes perfect sense given how the map's laid out.
Oh, I mean, you said it perfectly, straight off the bat there. When you can think of Clubhouse, you're immediately thinking, oh, what rank styles do I normally play? Do I go straight down to the bottom floor, or do I start CCTV? For most teams, of course, it's going to be the same sort of thing, done a little bit differently. You're going to have the anchor site down on the bottom, immediately picked off as primary in most cases. A lot of teams as well have been kind of juggling with primary and secondary sites. But in this case, of course, you've got gym upstairs and CCTV. That's your basic sort of setup when you talk about Clubhouse. Talking about Chalet, on the other hand, we've got a bit of a different setup for each team. We've had some people pick bedroom, master bedroom. Some people go straight down into the basement. And it's kind of in between that, but you always see the same 2 things. It's always bar games. It's always kitchen.
Yeah, I mean, with the rise in prominence of the likes of the glares as well, a lot of these repel angles up on the second floor mean that master bedroom is just that little bit of a harder site to hold now. And then, of course, with the current state of bans, you know, the first 3 rounds played, you then add another couple of bans, it just becomes so hard to deny that breach onto Snowmobile. So it does mean it has forced innovation into teams in the newest region in the ecosystem for CNL. They're the ones that have to adapt quickest.
Yeah, well, just looking at the overall bans that have come through on a consistent basis, of course, you've got Ying being banned off the board. You've got Grim and Glaz as well. As you mentioned, Glaz being one of those operators that has seen a lot more play, especially when you consider his ability around the meta. Going on to the banned defenders on the opposite side, you've got Kaid and Bandit, both hard breach denial, just being taken off the board. Teams don't like to play it. The other thing as well, surprisingly, that we've started to see, not something we normally see over an OS, but the Clash has seen such a considerable amount of play. If you allow it to get through those first three, you will see it almost every single round after the first three rounds. It will just instantly come out. They'll keep using it, and it's just such an oppressive operator when used in the right hands.
Absolutely. I mean, just being able to deny or providing so much information to your teammates, allowing them that shoulder to play off. She is such a powerful unit. But again, one of those operators that thrives with players left alive around her. If they're dead, unfortunately, she does become just a bit of a clunky operator. Can't really do all that much on her own. Does come down to a bit of gambling, bit of shenanigans to try and make something happen there. But the team huddle for KingZero, team huddle for Wolves, as they get the last couple of words in before they look to take their chairs and get themselves into the lobby. Clubhouse, Chalet, Nighthaven Labs. We go to what is arguably the staple of the Rainbow Six esports competitive scene in Clubhouse. Chalet, another fan favorite, and then Nighthaven, which has been the CNL go-to. This could not have been a better map draft.
Oh, I mean, what more could you ask for? It's exactly what we want to see from these two teams, see what they're capable of coming out to these sorts of maps. Clubhouse hasn't had the biggest pick rate. It's had quite a big ban rate for Wolves, but it's going to be kind of a bit throw and give situation, I'm getting the feel of. Immediately, the pickup from KZ, they've recognized that it's been banned off. Maybe Wolves feel a bit uncomfortable on that map, and they're going to try and exploit that to the best of their ability. On the opposite end, Chalet pickup, we've started seeing it a lot more in the playoff section. Teams have kind of been a little bit happier to give a little bit of interest into that map, and it's exactly what you want. I mean, any time that you can see those two maps in play, you know it's going to be a good set of matches.
Absolutely. I mean, pretty consistent showings across the board for these two teams. They haven't had absolute blowout performances. KingZero just edging out Wolves a little bit more in terms of the overall consistency, but in the grand scheme of things, coming onto a map like Clubhouse, this should be a reasonably evenly footed map, despite how things have skewed. It being a rather defender-sided map, which is, again, what we've come to expect. Maybe not to the station that we've seen in the CNL, you know, being a 66 to 33% defender-sided map. Usually it skews more towards that sort of 55-60 at worst, but clearly they know what to do on the defense. It's attack where things do start to come apart.
Yeah, just looking at Clubhouse, I mean, during the group stage, we've seen it twice. Playoffs, we've seen it 3 times. Ooh. On the opposite side for Chalet, it's the exact same. Look at that number. I think people are counting out Wolves here. 65 to 35 prediction from the people around. And look, as much as I would like to say that KZ were able to get into a good standing point overall within their group, they've shown a lot of momentum, and their ability as a team has been absolutely incredible. You just can't count out Wolves. If they're having a good day, they will just run straight through the opposition side. But in saying that, Blue Panda, we've got the bans coming in.
Oh, shocker. The most consistent band operators on the attack and defense. Ying and Kaid cop it yet again. It has been almost a guarantee through the vast majority of maps played throughout the CNL season kickoff so far. I mean, we see Grim here. We see Bandit, Glaz as well has been thrown into the mixer in that second ban phase, of course. But what is the game plan? Do we see maybe a blitz? So Grim, Bandit, Shock Horror. Again, we go from first, from both attack and defense to second in attack and defense.
Oh, Momo Wings. Remember how I was mentioning that a lot of the teams within the CNL have been kind of a little bit slow with taking Clash. They wait until the 3rd round, and after the 3rd round, that's when they start using Clash on a consistent basis. Otherwise, it gets banned out. quite a lot of times. So the fact that the Clash is coming out this early must mean that KZ has a different set of picks the longer that they keep going. The opposite side as well, it's Sunset jumping on to the Mirror, a fan favorite operator for a long period of time. But Mirror on this map, I see it. How useful is it going to be?
I mean, was for the longest time a bit of a staple on Clubhouse in terms of what she offered. But then with those changes, with those new operators being introduced, it suddenly means that there are more tools to then deal with that sort of utility. And you can see Demos, he switches from the Flores onto a Twitch. So they pretty clearly want to deal with these mirror windows as quickly as possible. If you get that shock drone, the taser drone in the right place at the right time, it's a pretty easy clear out. And suddenly that mirror's position is far less defensible than it was.
Well, straight off the bat, looks like we're going to be moving towards the CCTV side. Potentially, yes, we will. So Recap's going to get that open straight up. He's going to meet the face of a beautiful Clash on the opposite side. No way to get around that, my friend, as the red stairway will be spotted. One player up there, but they've already gained a decent chunk of control in towards the garage side. That's exactly what you want to see from the opposition teams. And it looks like we're getting somewhat of a multi-directional push. Of course, in most cases, you want to create that phantom pressure on any side of the map that you potentially can. Leaving it up and open just causes issues. Pushing one way causes issues. It's about KZ locking down one direction, and I think they've recognized where this one's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, good clear so far. Minute 10 burnt by the Wolves on this defensive hold. In the grand scheme, KZ really haven't had to commit all that much. There hasn't been as much time burnt, I think, as you would have liked. You can already see that Wolves are starting to put together the pieces of the puzzle they need to approach this site with some intensity.
Well, it's a slow down play, a minute and 30 seconds on the board. Recap's going to spot that Clash once again. We've got Jacuzzi wall opened up. That's going to be the mirror taken off the wall. No one playing inside of Gym up and available to stop that breaching charge from going through. It's going to be a very, very close situation at this stage. Someone's going to need to start making a bit of a play here. And there's the first. Sunset finds one. Make it two. As CPK goes down as well. Recap's able to find the trade back. That's the Clash taken off the board. Huge shield operator brought down. But Recap gets introduced to the man that's on 3 kills so far in this round. And there's only 2 players remaining from the side of Wolves, but Sunset's already done the damage.
Yeah, they might be nocturnal animals, but the Wolves, unfortunately, as Sunset rings on through, it's not the ideal situation for them. They are the ones being hunted. A Miro going on the offense, going on a bit of a hunting trip, culling the numbers of these deadly, deadly Wolves and a push-up main stairs from Demo. Unfortunately, it's red. It is well red, and the toxic canister at the top of the stairs to slow the push will mean he has to just wait and bide his time.
It's going to come down to the ace, needing to make a move onto the opposite side. Finds one. It is going to be Sunset taken down, but that's all the information that they need. Demos goes down to the shotgun, and KingZero. That's a beautiful way to start the map. Sunset is definitely up and online.
Absolutely. What a hold. What a round from him. This mirror that was so quickly handled by the hard breaches from the A's clears out bathroom, means it's no longer that key defensible position. He still finds himself a 2-piece, rotates over to construction, finds himself a 3rd. And all of a sudden, what looked like was great progress being made by this Wolves roster and their approach to the site completely cut off at the knees.
Well, downstairs we go. It's anchor site time. A little bit of fun down the bottom floor. Bit of a different operator lineup. Of course, we've been seeing it on a consistent basis. It's great to see her being introduced into play. It's, of course, the Scopos from Sunset. The amount of utility that brings upstairs on that top floor, the amount of information as well, is absolutely huge when played correctly. And you need to clear out that Scopos, or otherwise you guys are going to be in a little bit of trouble. But it looks like he's playing in towards Strip.
Yeah, I mean, again, not, just rampaging towards prominence, but definitely making more appearances than we would have thought initially coming into the playoffs, as teams figure out that, well, actually, it just offers a decent amount in terms of information. As soon as that second Scopos, I suppose, the other bot is cleared out, it gives you, tells you, oh, look, well, they pushed up to this position. We can go from there. Just a little bit better of a fallback. But right now, that Vigil, that's where my eyes go. Fiber going to be playing for a potential deep pinch here, but there's two of them playing in towards Strip. A pocket hold, looking to get aggressive with Momo's help. The Monty pushes through, but the support's not there. Impact at the feet. It's time to play some Pokemon. They know there's someone else through that door.
Well, slow push coming up from Sunset. Baits out the switch. Won't be able to make a move anymore. Logic Bomb comes straight down from Recap. He's going to be blinded up completely, but manages to survive, pushing just back into a different position. Shots through the wall. Good night, Sunset.
Yeah, he tried to switch out, but that Logic Bomb just completely upsets the attempt to rotate back to his other bot and play a little bit more defensively. So well read from the Wolves here to shut that down early. They couldn't find Momo. He was sitting there close by, but they will get cam control now, and that is a lot of information. Stealing the Scopos. What a shot, though, from Leanne. CPK falls.
Big play from Leanne, picking up CPK. That's your soft breach completely removed off the board. Demos, of course, with that Flores drone, can actually open up a decent chunk of it in towards the kitchen side, but he may not decide to do so, instead using it for the utility. I think that's the idea that he was going for in the first place. One Logic Bomb still up and remaining as they gain control on this first floor and begin to come up with a potential execute.
It's fairly rough. CPK was instrumental playing that vert yesterday against OneCoin, controlling things in towards kitchen, making sure that anyone holding the site was just going to be rained hell upon. This time around, he loses that fight pretty handily. Leon is well capable with that TCSG. We head towards the 40-second mark, though, and it's not quite the positioning or proximity I think that this Wolves roster would like in approaching a basement attack.
Well, control still on this main stairwell. Bit of movement coming in from Recap. He's going to need to start making some sort of entry play, but it looks like we're going to be getting a drop straight down in towards the site. B-bomb site is the idea. Drop comes down. Shotgun in hand says absolutely not. Pokeball goes out. Fiber, Momo Wings, Leanne take down the entire roster.
Absolute flurry there, KingZero. I mean, it was not clean proximally for the Wolves. They weren't in the greatest of positions to actually go for that execute, losing CPK, not being able to threaten that vert and kitchen and flush out any of those defenders, so that by the time the drop came, they hadn't moved. They were still there. They were waiting for that drop to happen. We saw it yesterday as well, just improperly timed, not doing their due diligence and clearing out those corners over towards the ash wall. All it takes is a single player there, and especially your mutes and your smokes, which we more often than not see played there, to just hold that angle, wait for them to drop, and it just becomes a bloodbath. So unfortunately, not having that control over Armory that they needed, not having the control down that T hallway either. If they'd had that, I think there's a good chance they get away with it.
Yeah, well, tactical timeout coming up on the board for Wolves. It looks like they're having a bit of a discussion. Something's not been going right so far in this game. And, I mean, what a perfect time to slow down the game as much as you possibly can. You've lost 2 rounds. Time to refresh. Time to come back into it and get back on the roll. You want as many attacking rounds here as possible if you're on the side of Wolves. Otherwise, KingZone, when they make the switch, they might feel a little bit more comfortable on the attacking end. In saying that, we go to the tertiary side. CCTV back upstairs once again. And I'll be honest with you, Blue Panda, if KingZone managed to secure this, that's big trouble for Wolves.
Interesting. Okay. So, I mean, Kaid Bandit bound out, which means that you're just not going to be able to deny that breach onto that CCTV wall. So we see a strategy that has pretty consistently been played in that mirror instead. I'm going to be intrigued to see if we do see the mirror go down on that CCTV wall in an attempt to blow the window when the breach does get attempted there, because it has proven fairly effective in the past. And there you go. So it's sitting on that wall. As soon as an ace charge or something along those lines gets thrown out, you pop the window. It then destroys the ace charge. Means that also there's a shooting gallery out onto that balcony area, but it becomes much harder to safely execute the breach as well. So you look at all the tools that they've brought in. It's very clever stuff. But I think Cardi may have just found the answer. He just quick blind throw, I think he's got it just under that window as well. So they are potentially, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, that's brilliant.
Manages to get the wall opened up, and they have an access point on that main side and a bit of a shooting hole up and available as well. On the opposite side of the map, it's a little bit of pressure being placed on the Jacuzzi side. Potential entry in towards Logi as well. So as much pressure as you can put on the map immediately. And I mean, it's only been 60 seconds down at this stage. Fiber is going to be the first point of contact for these players outside Jacuzzi. Will he be able to find something? It comes down to his playstyle.
Bunker set up as well. I mean, you look at it. It is a bit of a fortress hold, it seems. Catwalk wall is completely reinforced. They've opened the top of it just in case they need to throw some util in. They've completely locked this Thorn deep into the back of Jim. Do they know? They have to know that there's a Thorn here, but there is just nowhere for her to go. If Fiber is caught, he's dead. There's no other way about it. If he does not win his fight, he's gone. There's just nowhere to retreat. He doesn't have impacts. He doesn't have a way down that hatch. He's playing his life.
Larfang putting a little bit of harassment, but receiving some himself. Knife goes far, and it's a massacre from everyone on the side of Wolves. KZ only has one member up and remaining. It's Lian, but the damage hasn't been dealt. He'll find the first onto recap, reposition back in towards the site. Needs to cover this potential jump in onto suicide window. It's a long-ranged angle. Finds CPK, manages to survive. He's found three. He's found four. Fang, the last member remaining. They're both on no HP. He needs to get that diffuser and find a potential shot in towards the site, but this is perfect. He's been spotted somehow. Wolves, with a 5v1, have almost completely thrown it to the opposite side, needing to make some sort of play. They have time. Drones will go through. The information is there. But how much time do you really have to make the push? It's an ace from Lian.
A 1v5 ace clutch from the man. I mean, it looked dire straits. It was an absolute massacre, and they are up out of their seats, justifiably so. That is not something you see every day in Rainbow Six Esports, and that is a moment that will live on for the rest of this 2026 CNL competitive season.
I understand why Wolves ban Clubhouse now. I understand it. There just doesn't seem to be coordination. Something's going wrong with the way that they're playing. It worked really well at the beginning, managing to find 4 kills almost immediately off the bat, but this play from Lian was just handed to him. 1-1-1-1, leaving one member remaining who had no HP either. It's beautiful shots, and this guy's almost on double digits.
Oh, Demo just ran face first to that door with Lian pre-firing the whole time and just eat shots to the face. And that could have been a very salvageable situation for Wolves if they just slowed it down, if they hadn't been running helter-skelter in towards the objective. But KZ find themselves a third round on the fly, and it seems that all that effort yesterday from Wolves, as impressive as they looked, it may mean nothing in the face of this KingZero roster.
There's a few answers that Wolves need to provide within this game, and it needs to start happening now. They've got 3 rounds on the attacking end that they need to put onto the board, somehow tying this up. Otherwise, KZ is going to be in an extremely favorable position to end this match pretty quickly, as far as we've seen. I'm still a little bit concerned for KZ, though. We saw a bit of a misplay within the last round. They lost 4 members pretty quickly, but Wolves, there's just a little bit that needs to be changed, moved around. They looked way more comfortable at the beginning and in the middle of that round. The second that Lian was left on their own, it was just given to them one by one by one. I'll keep saying that to the end of days, Blue Panda.
I mean, it's a game of swings, game of trades. You need to have multiple bodies. I mean, you were in a 5v1 and you just gave him the exact perfect setup to take that fight and close out the round. There was no reason to brute force the issue the way they did. They could have played it smart, could have played it slow and still got it done. There was that much time left on the clock. But no, they hand a round that should have been theirs over to the defense, allow them 3 on the fly, and the bare minimum, it's a 3-3 half for KingZero. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem that that is quite how things are going to round out. Wolves have to try desperately now to get anything.
Well, at the moment, it's a good setup coming in from them, but they need to start clearing a little bit quicker in towards that construction side. We saw them earlier managing to pick up that territory quite quickly. However, CPK, I don't think his position has been completely identified just yet, and he can really put a bit of trouble onto the board. Demo's taking a lot of damage. 60 seconds remaining left. It's going to get rough here, Blue Panda.
Oh, that was a Nitro dumped out the window from Master, but they are going to start clearing these. Oh no, I don't think they quite got the mirror window. There is obviously that lower angle, so it's a little bit dicey to play in this bath. And there's a great long angle in towards the bedroom itself, but the shots around the mirror window. Unfortunately, Fung just gets swung on. KZB forces it into a 5v4 with 30 seconds to go.
It's time to move, Wolves. You got to get in towards the site. Flashbangs begin to go out from Cardi, potential movement coming in towards the side. It's a run up on the main stairs. They flank 2 players, Sunset and Leanne, both going down, leaving 3 to 3. 2 to 3 now. Oh my, this is a massacre of all proportions. Back and forth the bullets go. Shots on every single side, but Momo Wings is still alive. Nitro Cell goes out. Does he manage to find the one? No, he doesn't just yet, and that plant is being attempted. Needs to make the clearance, runs straight across, finds one. Could this be another round? Come back, searching for Demos, who's moved just a little bit out of position, trying to slow down this potential push, but he doesn't know where the player is 100%. The information is going to be there now. Back and forth, they go with each other, but the longer that this plays down, the longer that timer goes to the end. Momo Wings manages to hold on, and KZ are well into this map.
A massive clutch back-to-back rounds where KingZero under the pump still get it done. And you gotta feel for Wolves there just a little bit. What a push up the main stairs. The Nitro Cell goes wide, doesn't find a target, but caught on the reload. Nomad on that stash wall, just pumped out of existence, and then just no HP on this Flores to actually take a heads-up gunfight. Had to play the mind games, but could not take it. A single shot, all that was needed there for KingZero. That is 4 rounds on the fly as we head back to basement.
I mean, you got to think about what this does to the player's mental at this stage. Like, 4 rounds in a row, you've taken your time out, you've set everything up that you need to find 2-round wins. It's been given over twice. There's got to be some sort of annoyance or tilt that's currently going on the opposite side. And unfortunately for Wolves, we've seen them play extremely well, get the rounds down that they need to find, and then just give it away at the very end. Everything seems to be perfect until the last little moment. This is where resilience really matters.
Yeah, that mental fortitude. I mean, it doesn't even have to be tilt. That's the problem thing. Even just doubt creeping in could be enough to sow disaster here in the face of the Wolves. And you see things already starting to cook here in a basement approach. They open that wall into dirt. They've bought the row order as well as an attempt to deal with some of those potential off-site lurkers. But, I mean, you look at Leon, 8-1 after 4 rounds. And one of those rounds, he pulled off the 1v5 ace clutch to boot. So, I mean, he's having a phenomenal game for himself. Everything is, I mean, look, 65-35 split in that community vote just doesn't even feel like it's doing it justice with what we're seeing so far.
Absolutely not. I mean, there was so much more that we were expecting from Wolves so far in these rounds. And at this stage, there's just not really been too much of an answer. We've seen small little glimpses, but not really the amount that we were expecting coming in from them. Regardless, though, it is going to be a push in towards Dirt. A little bit of pressure on the blue side as well. Harassment coming in from Lian. Can just sit up and back, wait for the potential shots to become available. He'll take a little bit of damage, but he's also dealt the same back towards Demos.
Oh, and look at this. That's a cheeky little spot there, playing the hatch above blue. Fiber can drop down to provide that assistance if need be, but 2 players in Dirt. No Nitro Cell there for Lian, unfortunately. Does have the Pokeballs. Would provide a little bit of extra damage. Potential setup to knock down the pins coming his way, courtesy of the Wolves. And there you go. You see Fiber forced back, has taken a bit of damage. The Toxic Canister is now coming into play to halt that progress. The Wolves, they've been in a similar situation before, but now with KZ all hunkered down in the basement, they are ready to meet this onslaught.
No peeks in towards the blue side. This is a perfect plant opportunity in towards the kitchen. They've got a lot of it opened up at this stage, and Beat of Fiber sometimes being spotted, but I think they've realized it and they've started to make a move to the opposite side. Arfang will find the headshot onto KZB. A little bit of movement coming in from the opposition team as the flashbang goes far. Demos will start sending through a little bit of utility, but it's down to the movement to come through. 30 seconds, and it looks like someone's going to need to make a bit of a play here. But as the timer ticks, it's becoming so difficult. Cardi will make his way in. Pokeball in hand. CPK manages to clear it straight up. Demos finds Fiber. It's sunset against the world. We've seen this done before, but can it be done again?
Fortunately, just too many angles shut off there and left at the bottom of main stairs with 4 now to find. One of those being a Blackbeard. He can't do it. CPK is the one to lead the charge here, turn that momentum, and that is where he shone yesterday, controlling that vert from the kitchen. He sets it up once again here in this approach towards the basement for the Wolves Esports first round on Clubhouse against KingZero. And that position of power, his ability to influence the site, is what ultimately leads to their first round on the board.
Imagine you're on the side of KZ. At this stage, you've just lost bottom floor. Do you continue with it? Do you go for your tertiary again? It was a very close round, 5-1. Well, apparently you do. So it looks like they're a little bit more comfortable with this setup upstairs. They know what they're going into, whereas Wolves doesn't really have that full piece of information as to how they're going to set up and approach it. The mirror is going to be in the same position though. So a little bit of information at least there from one side, and the Tachanka obviously being brought for a bit of that plant denial at this stage. It looks like KZ just feel a little bit more comfortable on this map than Wolves at this current stage.
I mean, you got to wonder, maybe there's a bit of a mental element to it even. You know, going into this was the site that Lian pulled out the 1v5 clutch ace. So maybe trying to get a little bit under Wolves' skin, take them back to the site that was such a brutal shutdown of any chance at getting onto the board. And maybe look to throw them off that way. But look, the tools very much there. A lot to deal with, a lot to clear. KingZero have done a great job in terms of making this a difficult approach.
Well, once again, it's the same sort of position coming in from the side of Wolves. A little bit of pressure onto the main wall. Rest of the pressure operated on the opposite side of the map. So they'll open up in towards the jacuzzi side. Immediately, that's going to cause a little bit of commotion from the side of KZ. Will they have to rotate players to try and counteract that potential push? Doesn't look like they need to at this stage. It's a long-handed extension being brought in once again, but with 2 minutes on the board, it all comes down to whether or not CPK can potentially find a push point, a direction to move into.
This time, they've given the option for Fiber to be able to fall back in towards the bedroom, but it's Recap to kick things off, finds it down that kitchen hallway. Takes out Lian, who was the clutch factor in the last defense of this site. Can the rest of the team step up and match what he was able to achieve earlier? But Fiber, unfortunately, is struggling a little bit. Luckily, Momo, sitting behind the bed, has cover for him.
That's a thorn trap going off. Fang manages to find Sunset and downs Momo Wings. It's all down to Fiber, left by himself, but he knows where these players are. This is a bit of a problem for both ends. Diffuser is all the way in towards the site. The rest of the Thorn Chargers won't be able to go off just yet, but this is the information that they need. Demos is just going to hold this close angle. The information is there for Fiber to potentially set up a kill, and if he finds it, he has the chance, but it's not going to happen. 4-2. Exactly what you want to see from Wolves, trying to even it up. But where was this 6 rounds ago?
Interesting approach. You know full well that the last player remaining is sitting over towards Jim, but yeah, decide to hold aggressively. They win. You got to give it to them. They did win the round, but some odd choices being made.
Well, a little bit of the comms coming through as we hit the mid-time break for these two teams. And Wolves, this is where they'll need to have a lot of chatter. Going on to the defensive side, they've been able to secure at least 2 rounds. That is a 2-round differential that they can run with. 4-2. And this first round will be a very, very big telltale sign. I'm not sure about you, but mechanically, with the way that the players have been going so far, it feels like any round, KZ could just have a player pop off, and then there's a lot of problems for the side of Wolves.
Absolutely. It definitely is given sort of that energy, but statistically we're on par. A 66% defender side of win rate to a 33% attacker side. It's realistically, yeah, I don't think you feel all that bad if you're the Wolves. Yeah, look, you probably should have ended the half at a 3-3, but this is very much doable territory on a map that is as skewed defensively as Clubhouse is.
Well, a little bit of comms from the opposite end as well from KZ, and now it comes down to how do we approach this? Where's the next step? What do we think they're going to start off with? Are they going to go primary upstairs, or are they going to go primary downstairs? Which one are they kind of flipping and choosing in between? They've got multiple sites to choose from. Of course, all 4 sites are up and available. I'm wondering if we'll maybe see a bit of an interesting setup coming in on one of the sites. Of course, we did see the Scopos coming into play, which is a staple for that bottom floor anchor site, especially when you place one downstairs and one all the way at the top. So going into this, it could go any which way at this stage. KZ could just pop off. Wolves could just start putting a lot of pressure on the opposite side. And here we go. Bans coming through, Blue Panda. This is where things get spicy.
Yeah, worth mentioning yesterday. Okay, Bandit Ying this team. So Kai not being taken away, but Wolves were still good for 4 defenses on Clubhouse yesterday. So you've got to imagine that they've got the tools in the kit to get this one towards at least a evening up at 4-4, if not pushing towards a map point. Who do we see? Do we see the Kai taken away? Is it left as an option is the real question. And on Clubhouse, Kai does enable so much. There you go. It is going to be taken away alongside the Grim. So once again, the top 2 bans for attack and defense taken out of Clubhouse.
And immediately from the side of KZ, they've picked up a very interesting lineup. Togepi, Damo, Soul Snake, and Blackbeard. That's a lot of pressure being placed on the opposition team. However, Wolves looking a little bit different. They've decided to go with the mirror up in play. We saw a little bit of that coming in from KZ on the opposite end. In saying that, though, it all comes down to the way that Wolves want to play with this bottom floor site, but we got a bit of a replay coming through. Close round number 6. And if he managed to get that kill, that was a big problem.
Yeah, I question it. You've got a mirror wall sitting behind you at top red. You can just sit back, comfortably hold that angle, and you don't need to risk a dicey gunfight like that. Luckily, it does go the way of Wolves. Yeah, look, good on them. But those sorts of things will be easily exploitable on the international stage. European teams, North American teams, they see you making mistakes like that, they are going to punish you.
Yeah, look, it's a little bit uncomfortable in some cases with a lot of these teams. They feel like they've got the control that they need, so they make the push or they send a player on their own. one or two of them gets picked off, and then that roam up becomes a liability to the entire team. So it comes down to what you're comfortable in moving, where you want your players to operate from, and immediately we're starting to see this Deimos coming straight out. The Thorn charges are out in play, and just looking at a lot of that utility coming in from Wolves, a lot of it's already been placed down or set up. On the side of KZ, the most interesting pick that we're seeing here is that Glaz. It got through the ban phase and is immediately picked up on the opposite end.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of value found on this operator in the last couple of play days, establishing those long lines of sight, being able to utilize that scope through smokes. It's going to be interesting to see just how much they're able to find off the back of it. I suppose you just sit them bottom main stairs, throw the smokes down towards 90 and potentially look to make some angles, open up from there, cut the cross and deny any chance of relocation from these Wolves defenders on the bomb site. But definitely an operator I think you'd find sitting more comfortably up towards an approach towards, gym bedroom or even CCTV cache.
I'm pretty surprised by the movements of Wolves here. They've decided to go with a full anchor in towards the site. So all 5 players really didn't move upstairs almost at all. In this case, there was no one to kind of bleed down that timer. So already KZ has opened up so much of this space. They've got a potential chance to start looking for movement from the opposition team, and maybe even spotting out 1 or 2 players to find a potential kill on. So Wolves, I mean, look, it could work out at the end of the day because none of their players are taken down, but KZ, they've had so much time to prepare.
Absolutely. 40 seconds on the clock, and that moto hatch being held by this Glaz. Throws the smoke down. You can imagine he wants to drop it, but the pre-fire's coming through. Could likely spell death. Drops a second smoke even. Does get down. Cops a bit of punishment for it, but now he's got a great angle to hold. What a kill to find to start.
Yeah, immediately finds one on the pickup, and somehow KZB's just walked in towards the site, finds 2, but it is KZ all the time. Demos and Arfang, the last 2 members remaining, but the info's already there. KZ secures the bottom floor site, and I'll be honest with you, there was way too much time on that board for my liking.
Absolutely. I mean, brute forcing through with a Glaz of all operators is a very impressive thing to be able to achieve. And KingZero just playing that CQB sniper, it seems. Unfortunate for Wolves, it looked like they had the tools at their disposal, but that smoke and the ability that Glaz has to be able to see through it, the player in blue had no idea what was coming.
Well, we move in 5-2 situation. KZB looking extremely confident so far. Wolves going to reposition, head back upstairs, and it looks like we're going to end up seeing the Denari being brought out in play. I love the setups with this operator. It's been so fun to watch a lot of teams just go through and find ways to use the trip connectors in multiple different sections. I'm not going to say its full name because it's way too long.
Much like the gadget itself, but yeah, I mean, gym bedroom can be a bit dicey. We've already seen that so far. But the mirror in play, having that Whamite to be able to cover it and clear some of that util that will just be dumped towards it, you'd imagine. You see that Denari as well offers so many unique holds that you can set up for yourself with his gadget. Just cut off some of those rotation angles. But, I mean, look, a good gym bedroom defense can completely stall out an attacking side. And if that happens, Wolves are going to be really in dire straits.
Well, immediately, they've identified a pressure point. It's going to be straight on to the CCTV side. Deimos up in play on the Eyes of Fiber. The other thing I'd like to kind of go back over is KZB. He was somehow in sight. I don't know whether he walked through tunnel, dropped through hatch, but somehow he managed to get into sight quite quickly on that bottom floor and just basically opened up the entirety of the site, which is exactly what you want to see from your team if you're able to get a player in there that's able to find a few kills here and there. So Wolves looks like just letting off the gas just a little bit too much at this stage, and they'll need to find some sort of answer to be brought back, some sort of refinement to be made in the play.
Absolutely. But again, KingZero, it's not the strongest to hold to slow that progress. They get themselves control of CCTV. They know there's players in towards cash and top red, but the drone's already going out, feeding that information through. You've got Leon holding that cross as well. Has eased up just a little bit. Oh, spots the head, but reaction time is not quite there as CPK drops the barricade for a bit of cover. They look to exchange blows, but no traction found just yet.
I'm loving this from Wolves so far. It's so much time that's just been taken off. Leanne finds the angle on a second glance. Recap manages to find Fiber, though. That will open up the Deimos from being removed. Oh, well, being taken off the board. CPK, that's a big pickup. Kiba barriers, no more, no needed. So, Brava begins to make their presence known by picking up a lot of these pieces of utility. Rip Mine's been slightly taken over as Recap will clear a different section, but now 45 seconds remaining on the board. Wolves need to hold this down.
I mean, being able to steal those Malusi gadgets is pretty impressive tech, honestly. Just slowing the progress, making it very, very hard to really rotate and aggress the way you need to as a defender in a post plant. 30 seconds left. This needs to be done now by KingZero. They thrive in this situation.
This is where things start to get complex and a little bit vexing for the opposition team. Bits of setup, smoke grenades go through. Liam will find Recap. That will open up a potential option onto that side, but Momo doesn't get the plant down just yet because Cardi's just sitting there. It's going to be covered by Sunset. Plant opportunity, plant available, plant removed. Demos manages to find the kill and runs to safety, saving his team.
Oh, that was a clutch and a half there for Wolves. They were in a very bleak spot. The plant was going down, but an angle found. And with time dwindling, the call is made. Run, just run for it. You don't need to contest. There's no way they get in a position to actually turn this one around. Play your life, play the clock. And the Wolves do just that. They find that little bit of a lifeline. They keep themselves in a better position, close that gap yet again, while simultaneously denying that map point. That is a huge, huge reprieve.
Oh, what a shot coming onto Fiber from Recap there. Exactly what you want to see. And this looked perfect. This was almost a perfect set down. There was just not enough cover being positioned to one side of the map. It was all opened up, footholds everywhere. And unfortunately, that does end up taking the life of the player with the diffuser trying to get that plant down. On the opposite end, though, this is where things get a little bit interesting for me, Blue Panda, because we haven't seen Wolves' tertiary site. We know the primary side of downstairs for Wolves. They have that site now locked out for 2 rounds, and 2 rounds is all that is needed for KZ to end the game. What happens now? Where does it go?
That is the question. Do they look to innovate? Do they look to play what they consider to be safe and easy to execute, try and keep it as simple as possible? They are, I mean, like you said, two rounds away from either winning or tying up Clubhouse here. So Wolves are going to have to step tentatively the remainder of this map, lest they risk just giving it away for free. The striker coming through as well for KZB. That glares out once again, plus a Monty. So a decent couple of smokes here to really threaten from that balcony position outside of CCTV.
A little bit of movement being made by Momo in towards the garage side. Effectiveness of this Glaz will come into question the longer that he's left on this outside section. Then again, that's exactly what you want from an operator with a DMR, the ability to just pick off targets at a long distance. CPK deciding to get a little bit aggressive on that bottom floor, just trying to cover his teammate Cardi, sitting upstairs on that catwalk. On the opposite end, it does look like we're waiting for a bit of movement. They want to clear that player on that bottom section. I don't think they'll be able to get a good spot onto him.
Now, the angle is not presenting itself there, but you can see KingZero Esports aggressively positioning themselves to try and threaten from this rappel. Just multiple angles where players off-site could be threatening, could be holding. Smoke's going out as well, and they're trying to work Sunset into the building here with this glass. You can see the traces, the ricochets off that wall. They know that there are players proximally. Going to try and contest, but it's this bottom garage position Surely they get someone in position to swing. CPK's holding here. They have to know. They don't know. They do now, but he's going to get damage out. This is a big misplay. They should have taken him down easy.
The longer that this timer continues to go on, the harder it's going to be. CPK picks up the big one. Momo Wings is going to go down. That's the shield operator taken off the board. Luckily, a refrag comes straight through from the side of KZ onto Arfang. But they've still got that player sitting up on Catwalk and not really any other option but to push straight into it. Smoke grenade will go out. I don't know if Cardi has recognized that these players are pushing up. He hasn't. That's KZB to find one movement in towards the red hallway. Plant opportunities up and available. One Nitro Cell. Keep your eye on demos. He's the only one with that Nitro Cell available to stop this potential play. It doesn't look like he's going to be ripping it just yet. Waiting for the call of this diffuser being placed down, and it looks like it's going to go down right now. Nitro Cell should come out. It does go up and over, but it doesn't find Sunset. It doesn't matter. He makes a misplay.
How have they done it in back-to-back rounds? KingZero off their momentum, up, standing, yelling across the stage, and it is just stone cold silence now at this point, as back-to-back rounds have been lost in a clutch due to the time remaining on the clock, and Wolves find themselves back within one. And that has to chip away at that mental fortitude for KingZero Esports, who realistic, if they hadn't just taken too little too long.
Something is going on coordination-wise with KZ. They're finding picks left and right, but every single time that it's coming down to the last couple of seconds, Wolves manage to secure it straight up and out, and that's exactly what you want to see from them. An overwhelming position for them to kind of go off, and exactly why KZ is making a little bit of a struggle here. It's quite a problematic situation for them at this stage. They need to refocus, get back into the game, and I mean, at this stage, there's not much to really get back into.
Absolutely. I mean, again, those last two rounds would have closed out their game, but it comes down to the fact that there just wasn't enough time given to KingZero on these executes. And executes, mind you, that they were well within their right to take away, of course, just some minor missteps. A little bit of an overcommitment here and there, just not playing to the correct play, the smart play, in the way that they should have. So a very rough spot to be in, all things considered, all things said and done. But it's not over just yet. That is worth mentioning as well.
Not over just yet, that's for sure. And now it looks like we'll be going to the bottom floor side once again. And this is where Wolves had a little bit of a struggle at this stage. A little bit of problems. And I mean, look, it just needs to come down to kind of identifying exactly where the setup is going to be, where they're going to be positioned, and how they're going to essentially go about it. Putting all your players down on that bottom site is not the best way to go. And it can cause quite a few problems, but it looks like for now we've decided to put one player on that middle floor. A bit of pressure being opened up as the Deimos will track one. Still so many potential ways in towards the site.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough spot to be in for sure. And KingZero, you can imagine, potentially a little bit tilted, but I mean, so long as they just play it smart, play to their win condition, get the job done, rather than just overcommitting, overstepping, there's really a possibility.
Well, possibility there potentially is. KZ still looking for a way in towards the site, but again, it's this timer that comes into effect. There's so much time still remaining on the board. Recap, he's going to take a little bit of damage, not enough to remove him off just yet. But Momo's making the clearance that they need to get a potential drop down in towards this kitchen site. They've got all of the soft breach opened up thanks to the sledge. as the information will come through. Potential drop with 60 seconds remaining.
If you've got to try and make anything happen here, I mean, KZ, they don't want to stall out once again. Need to step it up, ramp it up, get there with extra time to spare. If that's possible, then for sure they can comfortably take the rest of the round, but they just have this problem with stalling at the last couple of seconds.
Yeah, the execution is where it matters, and at this stage, there's no plan in place. Potential movement going in from that top floor side. There's no utility really available at this stage. Sunset's got one up and available, does manage to move off the rest. Lian's going to go and find himself one as well. 15 seconds remaining on the board, and it's all the information that they need. KZB will light up the opposition team, and Lian manages to find the final kill. We go into match point, and they have two options. We either go to that bottom floor, or I think we're going to be seeing a gym.
Possibly. I mean, given how things are gone, look, you can appreciate the confidence from the side of KingZero. They are within sniffing distance of closing out this clubhouse, but that overconfidence has already bitten them twice. You don't want to get ahead of yourself. You don't want to get too far forward, because otherwise it's going to be real rough.
Answer needs to be found here. They have 2 rounds difference. It's not a lot. It is possible to bring it straight back up. But for KZB, I mean, you gotta just look at him. He goes in, finds 3, almost finds the 4th. It's just beautiful play.
Yeah, I mean, just strong arms his way into the site and allows the rest of the team to follow off the shoulder. And that is dangerous. Those players that can step up in moments like that and provide those openings for a team can really just tip the scales in a position where you just can't compete at all. And going here into round number 11, Wolves need 2 to tie it up. They've got some great operators here to try and make it happen, but KZ, they have not lost these rounds because of operators. They've lost it because of timing.
Well, we're going to see CCTV opened up. It's a good start from them, at least at this stage. It gives them a little bit of a formidable position to push onto, as well as construction being opened up. So that's information gathered onto the board almost immediately. The Bravo drone will go through and find a few pieces of utility, but not able to hack anything just yet. KZB looks to try and find an angle as well. So this is very interesting from KZ. They've kind of switched their playstyle for this top floor. They're not putting too many members on the opposite side. Instead, they're just watching angles. They're waiting for Wolves to make a play against them, and then immediately finding a way to counteract the way that they're pushing in.
That's exactly it. And I mean, again, once you see the setup here for KingZero, they've got a great little position for themselves. Lacking in the information department, 2 drones out in the field, but nothing beyond that. And with a minute 20 in play, it does mean they could struggle to find some of these roamers, some of these deeper players for the side of Wolves. And you look at the potential there. They've got themselves literally that stepping stone in towards the site, but aggressive swings mean that Wolves are willing to contest this. They know how close they are to losing. KZB, though, will find the first.
Absolutely. It's KZB who becomes online. Lion will be caught out on the opposite side of the map. Recap's the one to answer straight back for that. 4v4 scenario, 45 seconds remaining on the board. Needing a little bit of movement in towards the play, and it looks like KZB's decided, I'm going to be the main character in this storyline. Jumps straight in as an ace and decides he just wants to find all the angles possible. Sunset's going to take a decent chunk of damage, but it's Demos to find the angle onto KZB. Jump overs to be made, 2 positioned towards that red stairs, and they're going to need to make it quick.
It's an interesting one. They're looking to play for the retake, and Recap finds himself a kill with a knife. Sunset in the bathroom's in a bit of trouble. Fiber there as well. They bring it back to the 2v2. But with 8 seconds to go, it's effectively a 1v2. Shotgun from below. They just need a touch and they get it. Sunset falls. Fiber for the trade, but he's nowhere near. What an absolute fumble. 3 rounds. Nearly in a row. 3 of the last 4 have been lost to the clock by this KingZero Esports roster.
It was so incredibly close, Blue Panda. There was literally maybe less than a second. Less than a second to get that diffuser put down. And then we would have had quite a different storyline. Fiber could have just played downstairs, waited, reacted when necessary. But it looks like we're going to go in to a bit of a tactical timeout. A bit of discussion to come on the line for KZ. They're not feeling too comfortable anymore allowing this many rounds to go over, and it looks like as well you can see them talking back and forth. They want to find a way to close this game.
I don't even know if it becomes a case of they want to. They need to. They have just given too much ground back to Wolves Esports here. 3 rounds where it has come down to a 1v2, 1vx, and it has been lost on the clock because of mismanagement of time. And from there, they have just capitulated and folded. I mean, that last round in particular, getting into a 1v1, but dropping down the hatch, that could not have ended worse.
Well, we're back once again towards this bottom floor. Wolves feeling a little bit more comfortable going on to that side, as well as, well, they just want to avoid CCTV. Let's be honest. They want to stay as far away from that map or that site correction as much as they possibly can. So, KZ, lineup completely switches straight up and over. Ram, Deimos being brought onto the board once again. We're seeing almost the same sort of operator lineups we were seeing from Wolves. Same operators, same idea, same push potential, but there's a sense.
Yeah, that green wall coming through. We haven't seen much, if any, Warden so far in Clubhouse. It was something that did get played up decently yesterday. But right now, I mean, again, it comes down to those trap operators denying that information, denying push angles. I mean, they've got some great operators to do it. First 30 seconds, and you look at it already, this mute is finding value.
Well, Sunset, the drones will begin to come through for a potential dirt push into that bottom floor. It's the same clearance that they've been making almost every single time. Again, getting the drones available for himself on the opposite side, looking to try and see if there's a potential angle here. But look at where Fiber is. He's pushed straight down. Recap, somewhat cut off. I think, no, he is. He's completely cut off from his team. There is no option for him to move away. That's the information gathered up as they try to make a rotate back. It's Demos up there as well. This is beautiful play from KZ. They've locked out half the team from being able to reunite with the rest of their pack.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting spot for sure. 90 seconds on the clock. So again, what started with good progress suddenly has stalled out somewhat in the approach towards this site. Not a single member of either team has caught punishment in a basement attack. With time dwindling, it's one of the worst places to find yourself, not in proximity to execute comfortably.
The longer this time goes, the worse it's going to be for these players sitting up on the top floor. They can make the rotation at any point in time, finding their way back behind KZ and execute in towards the site. It's going to be so incredibly necessary, and every second that goes on could cause quite a few issues here. Movement needs to be made, and it looks like Wolves are feeling quite comfortable right now.
Absolutely, those green walls starting to go down. This hatch position so key. Momo is going to have to try and find anything. You look at it again, not a single point of damage being done as we hit that 30-second mark. Oh, the frag grenade goes awry, does not land. It's thrown deep into the position that was being held moments earlier, and they go for the brute force approach. Momo this time finds his target, but it's now Recat that needs to play cutoff. But the pre-fire is not quite good enough. Demos, he's there as well. Stuns deep in towards blue. It is an unfortunate situation that gets worse and worse. Wolves holding. Plant going down with the Nitro cells. It's a 3 versus 3. Recap's on the ground. They get him up. Force it into a 4v3, 7 seconds. They pulled off the defuse. Sunsets back on it. Play it in towards Kitchen, trying to find Momo, but the shots are good. It's Lian, in fact, holding from above. Plant down and in the post. Can Wolves clutch up? HP bars blinking. Lian the healthiest, but Sunset, he's going to be traded out immediately down to the 2v2. 35 seconds to work with. Spray through the ash walls, not quite enough, but is the info there for Cardi? Lian repositioning. KZB tenuously holding. Time not there, Lian. Another big pick for him. And I think, unfortunately, it's going to slip away from the Wolves. Gets the down. 19 seconds, still doable. No Nitro, no nothing. Can't find the angle, but it's a slow push. Stuns on through. He has to hold this. Pros don't fake, but he's pulled off. He's trying to long arm it. Now he cannot give it up. The stuns on through, but there you go. KZ, get it done.
And what a map one from KZ. They managed to secure it out at the very end. A lot of struggles coming on the board for themselves, and I mean, it's exactly what you want to see from them, right? Map win, map secured. That is, however, just the first map. Clubhouse is over and done with, and that was also KZ's pick.
Yeah, I mean, they get it done. It was a very impressive showing, but you got to give credit where it's due. Wolves really made them work for it. They caused a significant amount of upset, but Tiaki, that is only map 1 right now. Time for a quick break. On the other side, we head to Chalet, and with how contested this game's already been, I'm excited.
Can't wait.
Well, KZ nearly dropped the ball there, Tiaki, but they do close it out in the end off the back of some crazy close clutch rounds for Wolves. Oh dear.
Yeah, look, you got to give it to Wolves, to be honest. I mean, resilience. Everything that they did in that game was beautiful, from them being able to push it so incredibly close to 7-5 in the first match, and that is as close as you can potentially get it. KZ, without those clutch rounds, without those clutch wins and those clutch plays, they just weren't really in it when it got to the later sets. As you determined, it was definitely one-sided towards the end. In saying that, that was KZ's map pick. That's a little bit concerning if we're going into the second map that become Wolves' map pick. Then again, it's Chalet. It's a favorite for everyone. Kind of expected that both of these two teams will do just about as good.
You'd have to imagine. On top of that, there's a fair amount of confidence because of how things have gone so far. But again, we saw so many rounds that should have just been knockouts, absolute lockouts that just completely went the opposite direction because of overconfidence. And that's, I think, all it could really be put down to here. But going into Chalet, I mean, Wolves, they can do nothing but back themselves from here on out. And 27, the community vote has slipped further in favor of KingZero. That's a lot more confidence than I would have been willing to give them after that game.
How are we hitting 27? We were 33 in the last one. How is that switched up entirely? Oh man, as you mentioned though, I wouldn't be giving confidence that high, especially over to KZ once again. It's just a show of KZ so far. They struggled. They struggled so hard against Wolves, and everything on the lineup suggests that going into this map, Wolves should have a lot more confidence. They will be ready to bring a massive fight. And I think KZ better be very careful. They may have just woken up the beast.
Absolutely. Just giving them a sniff of victory, giving them a taster. And Wolves, they taste that first bit of blood, and they are hungry animals at the best of times. They're going to look to get themselves a good old feed. Clash banned out early. It is going to be the Ying, the Kaid in the first round, Grim Clash in the second. So Bandit will be up and available. But again, current state of this game, there are just still so many tools to be able to deal with that breach denial.
Well, coming in, where are we starting off? We're going straight up to the top floor. So initially, we're seeing where KZ want to play. That top floor control master, you expect an extension to come onto the fold. Of course, Sunset jumping straight over and getting that extension prepped up on the opposite end. Look at that Denari. That is absolutely brilliant. Going all the way across with that trip connector. But on the opposite end, it's going to be down to Wolves. A little bit of switch up coming through as the Twitch and Capitao get introduced into the roster.
Looking to be able to deal with some of that utility, and then of course Capitao being great at flushing out some of these defensive positions as we jump into round one here. Up to the second floor. I mean, again, teams have sort of figured out the best way to hold down the site, but again, there's so much innovation, so many new operators that change the way things traditionally work. You're going to have to really back yourself here.
This will be a really good start. Finding out what happens here round one will give a massive indication to what KZ are looking for, what Wolves are looking to do as well, and whether or not we're seeing a massive section, a different strategy coming in from them, and where their members are basically going to set themselves up towards. It doesn't look like we're going to be seeing much of that pressure put towards the library side, but in this case, it looks like we're seeing a bit of Solarium.
Potentially. You can see already getting that information. They've got a drone already up in Solarium, so they know that it's clear for the time being. But there are angles that have been set up to try and contest it. And this massive Deimos from below with the shotgun. Reverse verticality. Playing from below at range. Being able to threaten as dangerously as he can. Just trying to set up those vert angles to threaten the feet of this defending KZ roster. Very big heads-up play.
Momo Wings tap dancing around the floor as it's broken all around them. Arfang has been able to move his way up to the top of that Solarium stairs, but it all depends on where the members of Wolves are pushing from. It doesn't look like there's too much of a potential here. Somewhat one-directional almost in stature, as the Deimos will start looking for potential collections from underneath. The protection is going to be there. Nade will force the player to move back just a little, but Sunset's already made the rotation. The Kiba barricades are coming up and out, and with 60 seconds remaining on the board, the first kill comes through.
Yeah, just caught head to the wind, not realizing that there was something on the other side of that smoke, not having the same luxury. So it means we might likely see some Warden brought through in the next couple of rounds. And this glares in the hands of Arfang, looking to find one more to add to the collection to skew the total just that little bit more. Clearing out towards bathroom, 30 seconds on the clock, and Wolves are in a great spot.
Well, a little bit of a long swing coming out from KZB. Potential spawn peek on that player, watching the cross angles. The diffuser is going to be positioned straight up and down. Arfang finds 2. That's 3 into the round for him as diffuser will be placed down. 40 seconds remaining on the board. Cuddy will pick up fiber, and that will be the collection of all of the KZ members swept quite quickly.
An absolute demolition to start off Chalet, and that is the sort of momentum that you'll want if you're Wolves Esports or one of the fans, because that could be exactly a pace-setting round for them. And Arfang on this glass, leading the charge, just doing so much throughout that round.
Beautiful shots coming in from Arfang, and a great answer coming in to this map. Of course, Chalet, one of the favorites for all of the teams in this competition, and we love to see it when it is available and picked up. In saying that, KZ decided to make a bit of a change for themselves. They're bringing the mirror, they're bringing the Denari once again for that top floor hold. And of course, Sunset, he'll be the interesting factor. That pulse up and available can position himself downstairs, potentially finding a few bits of movement. Or play on that first floor, positioned towards the library side.
Well, I mean, if they can find another like that, then Wolves will well and truly be on pace to take themselves a quite comfortable standing here on Chalet. But KingZero, I mean, definitely have been the more superior team when it comes to actually playing out the mechanical aspect of the game.
Arfang is just doing so much here. There's so much utility clearance that he's bringing straight up and through. He's already got the mirrors taken off almost instantly. Yes, he's lost one of his drones. He's still got one up and available. Just needs to find the position of that potential mirror. So everything that Wolves are doing right now is clinical.
Yes, indeed. And they're clearing out a lot of this defensive utility, making it that little bit harder to anchor down and hold. And off the back of a flawless round, courtesy of Recap, Arfang, and Cardi, you could definitely imagine that there is a little bit of second guessing going on currently for this KZ roster.
What an interesting play coming in from Wolves. Immediately, they put a bit of pressure onto one side of the map, make it a little bit uncomfortable for the players over there, getting themselves somewhat set up in the right positions, and then instantly they make the rotation over towards the Solarium side, potential push point onto that master bedroom, and straight towards the blue stairwell.
Far so good. Still got the members just crossing under the window, looking to try and take that vertical control. But that player out on landing is always a problem.
There's so much utility still up and available. Demos has found his way in towards the site. Leand will find the kill onto Demos, but it's just a massacre coming in from Wolves. The answer comes back from Momo. Once again, the veteran of the squad manages to find one. We'll need to find 3 more to pick up the round, but there's so many positions that are being watched. Cover on the hatch is being provided, and that diffuser now put down. Should be the information game coming in from them. Cover from CPK up and ready, and it's not really going to provide them with a potential drop option just yet. Clearance on that left side needs to be found, and it will be. Cardi's going to get taken off the board quite quickly. Expecting players to be positioned close. Almost finds it. But Arfang manages to clear it up in the last few seconds.
That was almost criminal there. That could have been the clutch of clutches to really just stamp themselves back in, but Arfang backs himself, plays it so cleanly. And well, there you go. Wolves really come stamping on into Chalet, putting their mark down.
It's a beautiful start coming in from them for sure. Every single question that has been given by KZ has been answered back almost with brutality in some of these cases. And just look at these shots. I mean, Momo just manages to find 3 on the board, going straight down to it. If there wasn't that wide swing, if the position had not been found for even a millisecond, those shots missed for even a millisecond, that player would have been able to find a great angle for himself. Fiber, still the one sitting on, well, one of 3 that is sitting on 0 digits, but for Wolves, that's got to be the confidence that they need coming into this map. You're 1 map down, yes, but it doesn't matter if you keep on the board and keep it rolling.
Exactly. But, I mean, in the grand scheme, it's still only 2 rounds in the first half. It is far from a runaway lead. Still got to be smart. Play it a bit carefully. You don't want to get overconfident. We've seen what that can do.
Talk about overconfidence. It's Recap to answer straight into the round. He'll get taken out. Oh, correction. Sorry. Cardi will get taken out, but they've got site control. They pushed in straight through Solarium. KZ were not expecting this, and this is a completely different roster than we saw moments ago. It is an absolute domination from Wolves. They've got the control that they need for that site plant. But it looks like the players that were set up in those positions have all moved back and given the control back over to KZ. Wolves now, they have 3 players on the board. And KZ are in a lot of trouble, but this wide swing might even it up. Oh, just missing it.
Sunset lurking back down main stairs, and they're going to team up now. Look to play off each other, try and play a bit of a trade game, potentially, as they work their way back towards office above that site. Monty working his way towards A, potentially going for a plant attempt here. You can see there is someone up towards master bedroom, trying to play that cutoff position, deny that verticality. Did he spot them? I think he has to have some inkling as the plant will go down here. And prone, what a headshot from Fiber, just absolutely demolished. Grismut's down, but too late. Solarium, there is CPK. He holds it down, holds it fast, and it's Sunset in the 1v2 to try and bring it back. But one of those two is a Monty. Now moving up to Solarium. Oh my lord, this could have been a massive oversight. Drop down in towards the bomb site, looking for a cheeky defuse attempt. But do they have an inkling? Do they know that that's what's happened? They have to now. Looking for a cheeky defuse attempt. Pulls off and CPK shuts it down. Wolves, momentum is unstoppable.
What a beautiful idea coming in from Sunset. Straight dropping down, potentially putting pressure on to that bomb defuse. And at that stage in time, it was just the floor immediately opened up. No option to get that plant successfully done. Oh, sorry, correction. Get that plant successfully diffused. But on the opposite end, it's just Wolves all the time, every time. That was the most beautiful play from 2 of their members, running straight into sight, clearing up all of KZ. I feel like we've seen this before. This feels like the beginning of what we saw in Clubhouse. Now KZ, they're going to take their timeout the 3rd round in, 4th round in.
I'm them. I think that's probably a very smart call to be making at this stage, given that, I mean, you absolutely look like you're the driving force behind Clubhouse, and then, boom, all of a sudden that momentum shift is so severe, almost whiplash giving. You come into Shell Aid, it just feels like you're getting steamrolled over.
There is so much harassment coming in from the Wolves now. Every single play that they've made is enforced, and they're making sure that the opposition team knows it. No problems on their end, and the effectiveness comes out in their game style. I mean, round after round after round. The first round looked a little bit shaky. Everything since then has been mostly successful. The second round, a little bit shaky as well, but that round was so confident from them. Every single member working in perfect unison. Look at Recap here. He's managed to get his way all the way into sight and gets out for a little bit before being cut off. Fiber, oh man, that's a shot and a half.
CPK again, just consistently finding frag after frag in these high intensity moments, and does not lose composure at all. Finds the closer there, knowing full well that there was a cheeky attempt at a defuse going on. Did not allow it. And from there, while Wolves find themselves 3 on the fly, they could just continue that momentum and steamroll us towards the Nighthaven Labs.
This is going to be a telltale round coming in from KZ. They will need to solidify an answer here. Something back to the way that they've been playing so far. And Wolves, they are on an amazing run. I haven't seen them this confident in ages with their gameplay, and it just feels like everything is up for them for now. In saying that though, we've got a little bit of movement onto that bottom floor. Demos decides to make a push straight up and through. Recaps joined him as well. So a bit of pressure already being placed as Demos could potentially look for a main stairs push. It's not going to be made. But for the rest of Wolves, they can just wait outside looking for potential angles, potential movement to come into the fold.
Things coming through. I know there's someone on the library stairs, but that barbed wire being punched out will give away the goat. They know that there's someone down the stairs at the very least, but maybe a bit of a misinformation game. If anything, logic bomb to go out as well. Provide info to the rest of the team. You can see all these angles just being covered. Wolves approaching this map so measured. KZB, though, finds the first. Recap this time is not going to get away with criminal behavior.
I'm really hoping we've got a replay of that. That was beautiful shots from KZB. CPK will find the first trade back, however. Momo's going to be taken down. That's your Mozzie taken off the board. But the impactful picks are there. The Deimos, the Dokkaebi, all the information is gone from the side of Wolves. The only things that they really have up and available now are their drones. And they need to make these respective clearances. They will push one player out. The information is going to be there, but he'll slowly crawl away. Arfang able to pick up KZB. That will bring us back to a 3-on-3. And now Wolves, I mean, they're not fully in trouble yet, but they need to start getting a move on.
Absolutely. 40 seconds. Looking to threaten some of this vert as well. Take that Solarium control, and you can see Arfang going to be the one leading that charge. They've got cover on the rappel from CPK, who has been playing so very, very crisp and clean here. Throws out those air jabs, providing some of that cover, but with 25 seconds to go, they're going to need to force the issue.
Bit of movement coming in towards the bathroom. Cardi looking to see if he can find the first. Arfang backing him up as well, but it's just a massacre as they try to make their way in. CPK, the last member remaining, no diffuser in his hand. He's not really got an answer for any of this. He'll push forward, but at this stage in time, there's no way to continue it through. Pads the stats a little bit, but that is that. KZ find their first round on the board. And with 3 more like that, they'll be feeling a lot more confident.
Say that. The fist bumps were a little bit hesitant there from KingZero. I think they take that in stride and look to capitulate, just stack a couple more rounds on top of all of it. Because, again, it was not the cleanest. They definitely were still threatened pretty heavily.
Yeah, I mean, look, KZ are so locked in at the moment. They're trying their hardest to get these rounds onto the board. Didn't KZB get a kill last round? I swear KZB got a kill last round.
No, unfortunately. I think, he got his assist, but that's about it.
Oh. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Unfortunate for KZB, but for the rest of the team, they've started to show their impact in their play now. They're getting used to how Wolves are kind of showing themselves, how Wolves are playing on this map. That's what the game is about at the end of the day. It's about adaptability. You learn the team's strengths through their gameplay, and then you can adapt. The problem then comes when you make that switch up. What are they going to bring on the defensive side in comparison to your attacking side? For Wolves, now they need these rounds to be locked out. They need every single round that they can potentially get before they make their way to the defensive side, and KZ will want to even it up quite quickly.
Absolutely. The last thing they want is Wolves extending that out again, giving themselves more buffer to work with going into their defensive half. You could look at the setup. They've got, again, a lot of trap operators to try and hinder that progress as much as possible, try and throw off some of that forward momentum, but Wolves really just taking it in stride here.
I mean, KZ, they've got a decent chunk of utility taken off the board. Cardi's only got 1 asphyxiation bolt left. The nades still up and available for Arfang. They really haven't been able to make any bit of impact in towards the library side. On the opposite end, a bit of movement over towards the Solarium section. Keep your eye on Sunset. That is information being gathered in every possible second. And recap, he's actually made his way right up and through, all the way into kitchen, potentially finding an angle in towards the site. I don't think they've even noticed that he's in that position there.
Not at all. Minute 20 left on the clock, and Wolves have been pretty consistent and moving forward towards these objectives. Logic bomb out, and that top blue stairs position needs to be dealt with. Air jab goes, but unfortunately it is cleared. But it's KZB the first to fall. He's absolutely being manhandled here on Chalet.
60 seconds. A recap needs to make his way up, but his position is now known. The shots being fired up and across. Demo's made his way into the main fireplace section. One player still on that bottom floor. Keep an eye on him. It's Cardi to be dropped down, but not removed off the board. Momo is the one to be removed, and Cardi will get picked back up. Wolves retain a 5-on-3 scenario. Sunset has that pulse charge up and available. Nitro Cell could potentially be used to disrupt some of this movement in towards the site. The execution slowly being thought about. Keep your eye on Arfang. He can jump straight in and get a plant onto that A bomb site. They don't have any more utility smoke-wise. They know the position of one. He will be spotted. It's recap to find it. Diffuser will it be attempted. Lian finds one, finds two. It's 3 down on the board. They've got the plant successful. Arfang almost takes the damage. Cardi still upstairs. Nitro Cell will go through. That will stop his potential play, but it's both ends of the spectrum where these players are. It's going to need to be a double jump out, but the position finds one. Sunset could bait this off. He knows the position of the second. Should have been able to see it on the pulse scanner. Arfang just needs to swing this, but he's going to try to hold it. The information is there. He jumps out, shotgun in hand, but nothing available.
Wolves locking it down. I mean, the discipline there to hold and not overcommit, and it works out to perfection. That's exactly what they needed to do. Overcommitted their hand, stepped out, knowing full well that all that's left to do. I mean, it was a great pick onto the Nomad on that rappel, taking out CPK, but when you then have to commit deeper to try and find the remaining Capital, you go for the run out, you're too exposed. And Wolves' discipline here on the attack is really shining.
This is a back and forth game like no tomorrow. You have KZ putting up a few numbers each round. You have Wolves putting up numbers each round. This series is by far one of the most stressful situations for both of these two teams. Wolves, yes, they have 4 rounds up. They're also a map down in this case. And KZ, I mean, look, they've got 1 round on the board. They've got the map up on their side. They can still continue through this game. They can get on the attacking side and start putting up a few numbers, but they need some sort of safeguard, some sort of safety for themselves, and a 4-2 scenario would be exactly what they're looking at.
Yeah, no, I mean, they've got themselves in a really solid position here to force us to Nighthaven Labs, of course. 4-1, there's still this final round left in the half, and KingZero just feeling a little bit lost on Chalet on the log cabin.
Arfang playing up above, waiting for a bit of movement. Recap again. This man is absolutely insane. Finds his way into every single little crevice, and it's just causing so many problems for the opposition team. He clears out so many angles. Demos has actually made his way straight into Solarium, so they've got a decent chunk of territorial control on the side of KZ. Trying to make a bit of a move up, but it's nothing really up and available. Fiber knows that a player is pushing from that bottom side. The information is going to be there, but rotations back towards the site need to be considered if the Solarium control gets taken over.
I want to give out that verticality for sure. I mean, it's so integral in defending this bomb site. Being able to hold up above, slow that progress, deny that verticality. And unfortunately, if you give it up too quickly, you then find yourself in a pretty horrendous retake position because, well, the opponents then take that positioning. They then threaten you from above. But a minute 23 on the clock. I mean, I would be very, very stressed right now if I was KingZero.
Wolves don't run out the time. They execute perfectly with just enough, and that's the scary factor coming in for KZ. Movements being made all around. CPK will be cut off by the smoke, begins to make the rotation downstairs, but finds a beautiful shot. Make it 2. Fiber and Momo make it just Momo. A 1. Make it no 1. Wolves have just 5-1'd. What is going on?
That is a shutdown and a half from what was just a brutal slog of a map 1 to nothing short of domination here from the Wolves in map 2.
I mean, I'm speechless at this stage. Absolutely speechless. There is no reason why we have such a struggle on the first map just for Wolves to suddenly throw it straight back over to themselves in a 5-1 scenario and look so dominating against KZ. The longer that these rounds go out, the longer that this game goes out, the more it looks like Wolves are on solid ground. They know how to approach this, and they're playing it beautifully. I'm very concerned for the way that KZ is currently approaching things. Something needs to change.
It does indeed. But you listen to the teams, a lot of communication going on.
Not much communication on the side of KZ. There we go. Now they're picking up. But for this game so far, I mean, this just shows you cannot ever count out the underdogs in any of these situations. Wolves coming in, I mean, what was it? 33% with a 7-5 in the first game, 23% in the second, and right now they are absolutely, I'm going to say this as brutal as I can because it is, they're dominating. They're absolutely dominating KZ. There's no question about it. But now we get the switch up. Now is where things start to become a little bit more interesting. BP, Blue Panda.
We'll see. Does this translate the same way for KingZero on their attack? Well, I would be hesitant to believe that they're going to find themselves going down 5-1 to Wolves here on Chalet to then turn it around. Mira banned out by KingZero is an interesting one. Usually it's the Kai. They still have that second ban for that if they should look that direction. Ying, a staple, a consistent ban so far.
Yeah, the Mira ban coming through, a little bit surprising. We know she does get a lot of bans as a general whole in a lot of other regions, including the CNL. But for the most part, seeing her go off the board is quite interesting from their end. And the Azami also being banned off the board. So we have the Bandit, we have the Kaid, we have the Clash. This might just be a little bit map specific. The Mirror makes a lot of sense. We see her a lot in games, bar, and in kitchen side. Played quite often, top floor as well. We see it all around the map. The Kiba barricades are a constant issue for a lot of teams, especially with just how many angles they can potentially provide and exactly where to position yourself if you're going up against these angles. On the side of Wolves, it's normal bans. It's normal bans completely. Just get the Ying off the board, get the Grim off the board, get that utility out of the way. And, I mean, KZ, they're going to have to put something up here in this first round. It's going to need to be massive. So far, KZB really having an answer.
Absolutely. It needs to be a bit of a statement round here. That Solid Snake coming through. So information gathering prioritized alongside that Docker V, trying to steal away some of that utility as well with the Brava. And I mean, the most consistent way to deal with that breach denial, Maverick is always going to make sense in these situations on a map like Chalet. You don't have to worry about EMPs, clearing, electrification. You can just get it done with that blowtorch.
Well, Snake making a little bit of a move onto the library side. And that will position himself to find a little bit of information there, as the drone will immediately be cut off. It's a game of drones, and the second that you lose all of your drones, you are going to have a big problem. Wide swings and everything else in between becomes very, very problematic. So it looks like we've got an option here. Move out of the way to the Aruni. Nitro Cell sent out as well from the side of Arfang. As the information's going to be there, it's perfectly made by Momo Wings. Beautiful position from him.
CPK off the board early. It's going to be a little bit rough for sure, but not the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. The rest of the team has proven that they can step up and toe that line alongside him. Minute 30. That 4v5 favors KingZero. They've been pretty consistently able to close out these rounds when they find that opening pick.
And not just anyone, CPK as well. So the information is there. Clearance needs to be made onto the mezzanine side, but it doesn't look like that's the position that KZ are going for. All of their members at this current stage are positioning towards a direct jump in towards the A site. Beautiful position for now. Bacardi already taking a decent chunk of damage. Arfang's going to have to fall back as the jump in has been made. Demos sitting on that bottom blue stairs will first have to deal with KZB sitting close as well. It's a wide swing to come in from Demos. He will get caught, as will Cardi. This round is coming very close to an end. It's a wide swing to go through. Momo Wings is being pinged out, but it's all down to recap. The man that was always on the flank has gone on the flank once again. And unfortunately, the rest of his team's being caught. Beautiful answer back from KZ.
A flawless round there to get it done. And exactly the sort of round that you're wanting to shift that momentum, halt the progress that has been so dominant from this Wolves roster in starting out Chalet. And I think that's exactly the sort of reset you're looking for.
Love to see the RGB keyboards up in play. Always and every day. Good to see them. But for now, KZ, they are in control of this attacking half so far. Got the first round, flawless as it was, but there's still so much more to come and find. It's 3 rounds difference. They're going to need to start putting up these rounds as quickly as they possibly can. To be honest with you, a 6-5, or a 6 anything to 6-2, 6-3, 6-4, it's just problematic. It's difficult to get that out of your head, and it's very easy to lose from that position. In this case, though, if you can stay a 5-2, go 5-3, 5-4, and bring it back to a 5-5, you'll be feeling really comfortable continuing through with the rounds as they are.
And that's exactly it. I mean, there's always that added pressure of being facing down map point, of course. Luckily for Wolves, they're not facing down Series Point alongside it. They're going to be the ones looking to take us to a third. The Glares again. I mean, such an impactful pick with that Sens, with the Capitao as well. I mean, there's plenty of tools for him. The air jab, just trying to cover any run-out shenanigans. But recap this time around, bringing the Frost. So they've got a Frost, Malusi, and a Thorn on top of the Maestro.
That is traps and traps and traps. Everything to slow you down as much as you possibly can, with the Malusi as well up and available. It's just so many operators that are saying, hey, don't push any of these directions. We just want to catch you out. The Sunset, though, still sitting on this outside. It's just an information game. They're making the small clearances towards the jump in onto this side. No real angles being peaked up at the moment from the side of Wolves. They're giving over a little bit of that control for now over to the Solarium section. Doesn't look like there's really going to be any potential play here just yet. I'm loving this from Wolves. Calculated timings. They're waiting for this push to come through, and everything's set up for it.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty crash hot at this sort of gameplay on Calais so far. Struggled to keep things as measured as they would have liked on Clubhouse, I'd imagine. But right now, they are locked in and ready to hold this. The Maestro already, we hear the Evil Eye, that laser ringing out.
I love the Maestro cameras. Ooh. They're so annoying to deal with, but at the same time, KZ is not. That is a cleanup coming in from them. Flawless again.
Wow, what is
going on?
Back-to-back flawless rounds to start off this attack. And I mean, look, yeah, it was the only map that leaned attacking sided in the pool for the CNL, but I did not for a second believe that it was going to lean this heavily.
A timeout. A tactical timeout is called almost early, but with 2 flawlesses being made, it just makes sense. You need to slow down the opposition's approach. None of their team are dying. They're waiting for the perfect moment to find that potential push point, finding it, and then executing on it within seconds. It is completely different to what we saw in KZ's attack over on Clubhouse. I think somewhere in between Clubhouse and Chalet, they've had a bit of a chat. Look, we were giving too much time over to them. We need to find a point to execute on, a time period to make that move. And Wolves, I mean, look, you've looked so strong throughout this game. There doesn't really seem to be an answer just yet.
Not at all. Hopefully, that answer does come for the Wolves off the back of it. Kitchen Dining on the cards once again. Echo and Tubarão making their way through, but you look at the attack already. Twitch, it's going to be a Ram this time. It was Hobbit as a Solid Snake and a Deimos even. So in fact, they're switching off the Twitch as well. So they're almost tripling down on information gathering potential, doubling down at the very least.
I love it when we see a Deimos in play, especially considering this site. There's so much vertical play on multiple different sections of where a normal extension is set up. And of course, Mezzanine can easily be broken apart by a bit of vertical play. And it looks like the clearance as well will come down to Fang. If you can get him off the board, it makes it so much easier to move straight in. And without even saying anything, Fiber just goes, you know what? I think they're still setting up. I'm going to give them a nice surprise and move all the way through. Drone will spot him out, but he's already gained so much ground.
Yeah, the Yokai just coming around the corner at the opportune moment to slow that progress, and Fiber gets bit hard. As I think for sure, Wolves caught off guard there, were not aware that this bombs rush was happening courtesy of Fiber's Ram. And I think they're very lucky to escape with only a bit of HP lost on recap.
4 members were remaining upstairs for Wolves, and within a minute, they've lost one half of the map. It was a straight rush, straight through. Beautiful play from Fiber, catching the opposition team off guard with quick and easy plays. Now on the opposite end, we're going to slow straight down for the side of Wolves. They've been able to spot one. They know where the information is in this round, and Sunset will send through 2 ace charges. Wasn't able to clear it completely up, but Cardi is the one to try and make that clearance. Ooh. Swings across, and KZB will be able to pick it back up for a second kill in this game. And already Wolves, they're on the back foot.
Absolutely demolishing. Maybe they just are that team on the attack. Leon just trying to cover that entrance from Piano. Stuns through, E1D out, plus the Deimos hunt. But Arfang again rings out with that TCSG on the defense, in a bit of trouble. Looks for the turnaround play, just getting tagged up, shotgun in hand. It's going to be CPK to get it done. Arfang there as well. The shotgun singing for the Wolves as they force it to a 2v4.
Momo finds one. He's dropped Arfang down on the ground. It's Lian still in the fold, however. The site is under the control of Momo at this stage. The potential options to find exactly where this tuber is located. Deathmark will not go straight up and through. The cryogenic canisters cut it off almost instantly, but that should be the information that they need. Momo will attempt to go for a plant, but look at the rotation. There's a player that's made his way downstairs. CPK is going to cut him off with the Echo drone that's still up and available. This Echo drone needs to be cleared. Leaving him up and available is just going to cause so many problems. Momo can't find it. Leanne finds one onto Recap and onto CPK. It's all down to demos, but he's managed to find the diffuser. Match point round.
How do they keep getting away with this, Tiaki? I mean, it's just criminal. So many clutches across both Clubhouse and now Chalet. And at the opportune moment for a team like Wolves, who, like you said, find themselves on map point, primed and ready to force us to Nighthaven Labs as a decider, and I think KingZero are kicking themselves.
This was all Wolves all the time. The only time we saw a little bit of back and forth was when KZ entered the attacking side. That round was theirs. They had the control that they were looking for. They could have gotten that plant down. Just needed to remove that Echo drone. But that's why Echo is such an oppressive operator in the right hands. Any player that knows how to use him well can immediately start putting pressure on the opposition team, and it just causes so many problems if you can't remove the Echo drone. In that case, though, KZ, they'll need 3 rounds in a row to continue this through. And Wolves, I mean, they need 1 to secure it out. Got a lot of breathing room. Just can't have the same situation as we had with KZ, almost bringing it straight back.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. You just hold the line 1 more round, you get a bit of a break. You can look to go reset into Nighthaven Labs, and suddenly things are far less secure, far less tenuous. Essentially, you back to a BO1 going into Nighthaven Labs because, well, look, you've traded out each other's, traded out each of the maps to start things off.
Oh, a little bit of movement coming in from KZB. Drones being sent up and through. Where will we push from once again? It looks like we're going to be hitting that bottom floor, but they've already predicted that that is a potential cause. Immediately reinforcing that bottom side means a bit of utility is going to have to be used, and the ace charge will successfully go out. CPK once again in the same position that we saw him earlier. Doesn't manage to get the drone, however, so Sunset could move him straight off of this position. And they've got the Thatcher as well to find anything to cut him off. It looks like this is going to be a mixed play between the two. Sent straight through from Sunset, burning alive as CPK, but he manages to get out.
Impressive stuff. He just bides his time, finds that opening, gets himself away from danger. Minute 10 burnt. Hunting for that information. They know that there is at least the one back stock, pretty stock standard approach, pretty standard position to hold, but the toes, the feet, oh, narrowly missed opportunity there from Momo. And that would have been not necessarily a kill, but at least a huge chunk of damage.
The drone will double spot the position of that player. Potential opportunity to move in towards the site. There's no players really in that rough section, and it looks like that's going to be the call from all members of KZ. They're going to set up for an angle push straight in towards this site control. They've already cleared out library as the information is going to be there. Wide swing to come through from CPK. Doesn't manage to find the head of one, so 60 seconds on the board. And this is looking very, very scary, Blue Panda. Could go either way.
Position in towards mud. 50 seconds on the clock. They're watching that bar hall, but it's Demo, the first to find a frag, but it's Sunset. Cheeky jumps into games. We're looking for that plant recap. Finds one, catches the rotate down, but the shorty, the super shorty in hand, comes in huge, and it's Fiber. Left alone, the Wolves have absolutely dominated here on Chalet. Fiber outside, a lone goblin trying to hold fast in the face of the wolf pack. With 20 seconds and 3 to find, it is just an insurmountable task. Flash throwing on through. He needs to make a gamble, but he can't. Arfon gets it done. We go to Labs.
What a match from the Wolves. It was them again and again and again, showing up for their team in every manner of the word. On the opposite end for KZ, we expected there was going to be some issues, but that was a securance of problems that they continuously had in the first game.
I mean, look, given the trajectory, you got to respect that. Going into game one, 65-35 split going the way of KingZero. The community had spoken, and to be fair, yeah, that felt about accurate given how that map played out. There were a few rounds that KingZero just completely slept on, allowed Wolves an angle back in, and then it swings so far wider, 73-27, so just doubling down on KingZero, and Wolves took that personally, it felt. Like, they were genuinely insulted that the community had turned their back on them, and they said, this is our map. We're going to a decider. If anyone deserves that spot, we're going to prove that it is us. And right now, off the back of that showing, you gotta feel concerned for KingZero. You can't say for sure that they will be the ones to walk away with the series, because right now, the Wolves have all the momentum.
Yeah, everything that KingZero has done in that game, in the first game as well, has been completely thrown on its back, and the Wolfpack are circling.
Exactly it. Time for a quick break, though. On the other side, Night Haven Labs to see who goes to the Salt Lake City Major. Will it be KingZero? Will they deny the reverse sweep? Or will Wolves lock it in and join the 3 other teams from the CNL to go international in 2026? Oh boy, Tiaki. Game 1. KingZero Esports stamped their mark on Clubhouse. A couple of slips, a couple of stumbles, but they get it done. And the howl goes up in Chalet. And the Wolfpack lean large to force us to map 3. We go to Night Haven Labs. And boy, was this a showcase.
An absolute domination coming in from Wolves on Chalet. Perfect answers back on KZ's first map. It was a close, very close 7-5 over on Clubhouse. And the second map was just complete and utter domination. I mean, a 7-3 scoreline going into Chalet. That's big news going into the final map, which of course is going over to Night Haven Labs. And I mean, what can we say, Blue Panda? It's going to be an absolute banger regardless of how you look at it. Oh, again, they're counting out the Wolves.
Put some respect on the name. I think Wolves, if nothing else, have earned that right. What a showcase they put on Chalet coming into Night Haven Labs, the pinnacle map here in the CNL. I don't know. I really couldn't call it one way or the other at this stage.
Well, look, I said at the beginning, and I'll say it again, I'm backing the Wolves on this one. They seem to be completely on fire so far, but now it comes down to how long can you really keep up that momentum in your play styles? What have you refined over the break? And once again, we're seeing the Kaid and Grim as the first set of bans.
Yeah. Oh boy. In the grand scheme of things, Ying being allowed through could be a little bit problematic, especially with Wolves starting out on the attack. Coming into the CNL season, Night Haven Labs leans defender sided. You want to enable yourself as much as possible, but it's going to be nomad, in fact. So KZ wanting to lean a little bit more on some of that offsite presence, looking for those lurks, looking for those pinch positions.
Once again, we're going back upstairs to kick it straight off. And it looks like the lineup from KZ is as you would expect. A lot of slow down operators, trap operators as well up and available. The smoke and the Tachanka both being brought into the play. Keeper barriers as well for the warehouse side of the map. This has been the most played map by far, it feels like. And we all know why. Everyone seems to feel like this map is exactly what you'd want going into the final set. And of course, a 0-0 situation. Both teams have the ability to stamp their mark within the first 2 rounds. And I mean, look, every game we've seen timeouts come through. If one team just seems to run straight through with it, it could be a big problem for the opposition team. And they've got that timeout to really bring it back. Ooh, Nitro Cell play.
Exactly it. Nighthaven has been done again and again. So at least should be somewhat of a known quantity here, you'd imagine. Then again, weird and wonderful things do sometimes happen in this wonderful game of Rainbow Six Siege, but we'll see. Maybe, just maybe, that they're cottoned in, they're clued on, but already we start to see things being opened up here.
Well, straight onto the IT wall, give that presence on one side of the map, as Offang will immediately open up the opposite side. So 2 positions opened up and available to make a potential move. The opposite end, once again, Momo still looking for this Nitro Cell play. But there's so much utility that's being sent out. CPK's got drones going in, the Twitch drones, shock drones making their way into the map. And of course, the Roteo drones as well from the side of the Flores. Demos making his appearance into this map as well.
Looking at some of this utility. Bulletproof camera, just off the money, unfortunately. Not able to clear that out, but luckily they got Roteros in play. They can position it well, clear out some of this utility, get a direct line onto the site as well. Clearing out the keeper barricades, Damos getting some information. Momo being scouted and hounded here. It does take a decent chunk of damage, but the first kill goes the way of Fiber.
Again, recap, going on this flanking position, finds the potential angle for one, but only is able to deal damage, immediately shut down. Rotations come into the fold. Liane is dropped onto the ground. The smoke taken off the board, and that's a big pickup. If you're able to confirm that kill, Liane's got a lot of utility that's still up and available, but if a push forward coming in may not be expected, KZB answers straight back. Sunset introduces himself as well. It's Demos and Arfang to find it all, make it just Demos as a 4-1 position. Diffuser dropped onto the ground. Potential available towards the IT side, but I don't think he spotted the player sitting on the left inside of the warehouse. It's going to be a wide swing, but there are so many angles, and Demos manages to find it. 2, make it 3, left on KZ.
Quick jump in towards electrical, drone out, but with 13 seconds to go, I just maybe a sound cue of anything. Oh no! Momo caught looking the wrong way, but with 8 seconds left to go, diffuser in hand, there's just too many angles to cover. They're both low, just tucked in behind one of the server racks. Steps out, Fiber, opened the round and slams it closed.
Well, that's what you expect going into Nighthaven Labs. And of course, a little bit of back chat coming through, having a little bit of chat to the opposition team, getting inside of their head. Of course, they can't hear that, but you know, it's a bit of motivation for your team as well at the same period of time. In saying that, though, that top floor, it's the hardest to hit. Now we start going to the secondary and tertiary sites. This is where things will start to get quite a bit interesting. Will Wolves be able to find a few rounds? We're expecting them to put up at least a few numbers, but what we saw from KZ overall is that when they are in fighting position, there is really no answer back from Wolves.
Absolutely. It needs to be a lot more measured if Wolves want to find success. They struggle a little bit with the chaos, which is where KingZero have really shone. We'll have to see, you know, who can wrench that control back, who can dictate the pace here on Nighthaven Labs. We do head down to the basement, it seems. Oh, okay. We might have a potential pause coming through. Yeah, recline chairs. Yeah, okay. I know what this means.
Time for a bit of a rehost, by the looks of it.
Yeah, and the recline chairs, it means one thing and one thing only. These guys have been watching Minga, and that dude is the pioneer of recline tech. He gets reclined, he starts spinning. It's that centripetal force getting the blood flow into the brain. Right now, though, we're going to throw it to a quick break. We'll match them. Hopefully, we'll be back soon. We'll see you back in a sec. Coming back in, everything sorted into round 2, down to the basement, Tiaki. And KZ with an absolute rip-roarer of a round to start things off here in the decider.
Yeah, beautiful start from them. The lockdown of that second floor is huge for KZ. Gives them momentum straight back into the third game in the series. And now there needs to be an answer from Wolves on the opposite side. Something needs to happen here for them to secure themselves. They need at least 3 rounds, preferably, if they can get it, but that will have to be on the secondary and tertiary sites so far as we've seen. And looking at the operator lineups, I'm glad we're starting to see a few interesting operators make their appearance. Of course, the Snake, introduced within this season, has been a very impactful operator in the right hands. But on the opposite end, once again, I'm seeing that very scary operator. It's the Echo.
Absolutely, especially with the Blitzen playing. The Yokai drone's potentially going to find a lot of value. Not to mention, we've already seen the impact it can have on Chalet, and in terms of denying a plant attempt, shenanigans abound for CPK as he was playing that down in the kitchen on Chalet. The Blitz lurking down these blue stairs, wants to try and find an angle on in. Oh, yeah, no, Yokai drone, that's a big no-no.
Get rid of it. Find a way to get rid of it. We need to remove it as quickly as possible. Should be the idea from Wolves at this stage. The Yokai drones are such an impressive piece of utility and an operator gadget, of course. But still, it's just control of this top floor, and on warehouse side, clearance needs to be made onto this first floor. Shot goes out. Doesn't find the drone, unfortunately. And yet, it feels like Wolves... I mean, look, they've gotten a decent chunk of territory at this stage, but it's not enough to really push a lot of these members off of their positions.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that couldn't have happened at a worse time for Cardi. And he just gets slammed in the forehead with a Vector.
Okay. Hello. Goodbye. That was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Leon managing to push the shield back. Shotguns in the hand of KSB. Says absolutely not to demos. But it is a back and forth situation at this stage. Keep your eye on Momo Wings. He's still upstairs, putting a bit of pressure onto that first floor position. Recap may need to be the one to clear him out. Decides to not go through with it just yet, as the clearance made into Animus. Potential drop point to get that plant put down immediately. That's the Echo drones slowly going out. Smokes will go through as the jump in to be made. CPK's got a safe spot to get that diffuser down. I say that, and Momo manages to come behind, finds recaps, makes the drop down. CPK's got nothing, and beautiful answer from KZ.
Momo from the hatch single-handedly dismantles any sort of plant attempt. The Yokai drone still in play as well, so even if he hadn't hit his shots, there was going to be that denial inherently on the objective. And KZ absolutely feeling themselves here.
Exactly what you'd expect from them. Beautiful start to kick it off. I mean, look, there's so many positions, so many ways that could have gone, but that was just beautiful coordination on the side of KZ, instantly popping the shield at the perfect time. And I mean, just this clearance. They did not find Momo on that first floor. Rotates around at the perfect time and cuts off every single angle for Wolves to potentially get that plant. And this is looking really good from KZ so far.
It looked like Cardi slipped on a banana peel going down the stairs. It was almost comical. Shield comes down at the worst possible timing. And as a result, he is just obliterated. And KZ, very, very much in a position of power here. They're feeling themselves. They're confident. You can see them arcing up across that stage in the arena, of course. And that can be a dangerous thing.
Wolves needing to find an answer back. I've mentioned it a few times and I will continue to mention it. Something needs to shift here. Nades going straight out and through. Almost got that diffuser down last round. We'll need to find a potential attempt here. It looks like Thatcher just waiting. Oh, correction, sorry, the Thermite. Waiting to open up the IT wall. Recap. Of course, still sitting on this outside. He'll be the man to make a bit of a clean move in some cases, but also the one to cause a little bit of problems if he gets picked off first. Wolves feeling a little bit confident in this round.
Absolutely. You can understand why. Just lurking KZ though. Logic bomb goes out, EE1D as well, and there's Do the Cantel has been Momo's always good for one, unfortunately then traded out. Sunset with a great flank finds a pinch to force a 4v3 in KZ's favor. KZB on the tool, Sunset as well. It just goes from bad to worse, and Cardi alone on this Ying with 4 to find and meets the long end of a shotgun.
An absolute massacre from KZ. 3 rounds in a row, no problems, running it straight up and through, and instantly the timeout is going to be called. That explains it all. It's the same situation we had on Clubhouse. Wolves have not brought themselves to this match yet. They're not used to what KZ can do when they're on the defending side in a Nighthaven Labs match. And at this stage, they need to reset. They need to get themselves back on the roll of what is going on. And yeah, I mean, look, Wolves 0-3 started off. It's a really bad situation for them to be in.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about how things have played out throughout this series. It very much has been a sort of an ebb and flow situation. Game 1, very much a KZ affair. Game 2, that momentum shifts back and will start to feel themselves. But 3-0 on the fly to start things off here for KingZero Esports. This almost feels like they are prepping themselves for the finishing blow.
Well, this might be the game where we see that prediction actually come true at this stage. Level 2 is going to be the idea. Going up to that top floor once again. Command office and servers. As Warden, Denari, Fenrir, and Ella all being brought on the board. Operators that can roam, move, and have fast fire rate weapons. It's exactly what you want when you get the chance to go up against the opposition team in the right circumstances. In saying that, however, Sunset, he's the man to watch this game. 4-2 with Momo as well. 5-2 for the side of KZ. Didn't really see too much of an action in the last... But coming into this, it's a good reaction from them.
Absolutely. Stakes just ramping up as this game does progress. Looking at it, that server bomb site as well. I mean, they did nearly crack the bomb site, unfortunately. Just came down to that 1v2 and there was just too many angles for them to comfortably contest. But what was, I mean, they just felt like they've been on the precipice of finding success on Nighthaven Labs so many times, only for it to be stripped away.
I'm a little bit concerned with the recap in this position. It looks like he's doing what we saw in the first few sets of rounds and really just going for a potential flank position, potentially finding a few players off guard. Fiber 0-2 2-0 I should say so far. The IT wall will be opened up as well as the connector. Fallback is going to be made quite quickly. I think they've realized that that position is not the best to play in this stage. Arfang looking to push. I believe that's Fiber off of that position. No, it's KZB as the push-up comes through. And Demos has the Montaigne.
Yeah, just get him into a favorable position. I mean, IT opened up. See PK looking to lock that angle down. Potentially considering that there might be an angle for a run out from behind, but another E1D goes in as they look to get themselves into a threatening position, taking control of the warehouse right now, and proximally sitting very, very close to this bomb site right now.
Immediately, Arfang looking for a way up. A bit of control into that IT section, but they need to gain control onto the command stairs, to be honest with you. And there's a perfect operator to counteract that. Welcome in the Warden, shotgun in hand, deals the damage, finds the angle on both. Missed positions. Trade back will come through. Cardi able to find one on the opposite side. They don't have diffuser down anymore. Rotation will need to be made. They've got the window to jump out of, but already look at the way that KZ have prepped themselves up. They're not giving any available angles. Sunset will get dropped, but there's so many other positions to clear, and Momo still hasn't been seen.
2v2, 30 seconds on the clock. Door ball, shots need to connect here onto Fiber. Pistol out, they do get the diff, but it's going to be Momo that next falls. 24 seconds, so the fade away, but the slow, the absolute mounting pressure of it all, and they cover the doorway, knowing full well that they need to get this diffuser down. Fiber looking to get aggressive, pre-fire shots, just trying to bait out any sort of shot, but Cardi holds himself, backs himself to get it done.
That looked KZ favored incredibly. That was KZ's round in its entirety. What happened? Everything was on their end. They were up so many players. They found the opening 2 kills and then just crumbled towards the end of the round. Nothing really provided them with a way through there. And for KZ, I mean, look, you've given them 1 round. You'll want to secure it from here on.
Absolutely. But, I mean, how many times can they find themselves in these positions? I mean, you look at Leon's hold here. Pumps someone coming up the stairs. Arfang falls. Spines the angle. The shield is just not positioned correctly to hold that position. And then suddenly it's Cardi to punch on through and really blow the round right open back in favor of Wolves. And I thought for sure this was just going to come apart at the seams, not able to fade away the way he needed to. But then Cardi once again continuously stepping into that position to be the savior for this team.
Well, we go to the bottom floor, and once again, same operator lineup being brought in. So we're going to see those Echo drones in play. We know how well these teams can play with Echo because we've seen it. We've been able to get an idea of their exact play styles with that operator. In saying that though, Arfang jumping onto the Blackbeard instead of the Blitz. It looks like they didn't really want to give that full position out just yet. And Sunset, he'll take a little bit of damage. Recap almost getting a head peek on one. At this stage, it's going to be slowed down in its entirety. Wolves will need to prep themselves for a potential jump in. And I think we're seeing the exact same execution they had last time.
Sunset going down there would have been pretty disastrous, but it's only an ankle tap there onto him. So happy to be alive. Minute gone already. Arfang's on for the plant already. What the heck is going on here? A cheeky rush in, but they've had to pull off for the time being. That could have been absolutely huge here.
Well, immediately it's identified this push coming straight through Animus. They've been able to open it up thanks to the help of demos, but the clearance needs to be made on to these Echo drones. The Yokais causing problems. Sunset will find demos, but Cardi will trade it straight back The Denari brought off the board, and that opens up a potential to gain control on this top floor. All clear is the signs from the snake. Let's recap. We'll spot one on the stairwell. Crafty still on the outside. Rotations being made for a potential plant point. On that bottom floor, CPK, again, 0-4 position at this stage. Looking to make his way through. Arfang to attempt to get this down, but the Echo drones are still up and available. Nade will go far. Arfang begins the plant, and this is where we could see potential problems. The Echo drone stops the clearance, stops the position. 40 seconds on the clock.
They've lost it time and time again. KZB4's recaps on the tools. He's getting some big shots. So is CPK. They're looking to blow this wide open, and 40 seconds now in favor of the Wolves as the plant secured. But it's from the hatch above. Sunset Reigns led down into the Wolves as they play this post plant. Pink's coming through. Leon trying desperately to find anything, try and deny anything whatsoever. And Sunset aggressively repositioning to try and contribute, try and help his team. On forward goes Leon, but that angle is very much being watched currently. They know full well where this plant is, and they know that they can lock it down. 15 seconds, the long arm attempt, but it steps into the crossfires of Cardi. 1 to go, Sunset to hold. I don't know if he can, and certainly he can't.
That was a beautiful play from the Wolves, managing to get it locked down in a good position to put it straight up and through. And that's exactly what you want to see from a team like them. They're starting to get back into this match, and that should scare the entirety of KZ. The more that we start to see Wolves putting up these rounds, the more unlikely it feels that KZ are going to be able to convert when the sides switch. We know this map, we know this map is heavily defender-sided, or at least highly defender-sided. So coming into this, it's going to be expected that the switch up could cause a lot of problems for KZ.
Absolutely. In terms of possibilities, of course, it needs to be respected. Maybe that Wolves can mount this into a viable half. Look to transition into their defense. Because, I mean, a 3-round flight to start here for KZ, then transitions 2 back the way of Wolves. The momentum stalls pretty heavily.
Well, once again, it's a top floor hold. That's the idea. And Demos is jumping onto the Montaigne. We've seen a few ideas coming from that Montaigne in play, but both times, Wolves, I mean, look, the first time we saw it, had a little bit of problems over on Chalet. Jumping into this, it's been pretty effective so far. Able to get a few areas put down. Unfortunately, for the side of KZ, though, they will need this round as much as anyone else does. And immediately look at Fiber. He's positioned right on that connector section, waiting for the push to come through. And he's going to fall back. 2 minutes on the board. This could go either way.
Ambitious hold there from Momo. He was going to sit under that window and electrical. Look for a shotgun play, but scattered out by a drone, so they do have to just give it up for the moment. Here, window big. They spot out the Monty. Looking to clear some of that utility with this Twitch drone. The Evil Eye. He's going to spot it out. They pass it off to the bulletproof camera. So we'll start to open things up here towards server.
Arfang has an angle all the way down into that connector side. Smoke grenade will go through from Momo, slowing down the potential push of Demos, who makes it right up and through. Will take a little bit of damage, but doesn't really give any care in the world. Leanne sitting back in towards this server side. Smoke grenade goes through again. That's going to deal a lot of damage to Demos. He will have to move back from his position and does so quite quickly. Recap will join him on that side. But for now, Wolves still prepping this execution, and the time is running out.
I mean, that was bold. The Duke patience to pick up that toxic canister. It's bounced once again. What a knife from Lian as they completely play him, swinging into the breach. A recap falls. That big LMG in the hands of the Maestro rings out, and Fiber contributes one of his own, two of his own before the last falls. And it's Sunset to close it out, the big bad Italian. And it will be a 4-2 half.
How? Again, how? How are we letting that get past? There is a smoke grenade. Yes, we understand that. You have to move forward. But for the most part, you shouldn't be giving your back away to the opposition.
It's a rough one for sure.
KZ look happy.
It's a rough one for sure. I mean, KingZero still feeling like these egos are somewhat overinflated. It just doesn't feel like they've quite earned the confidence that they're showing. Yeah, look, it's a 4-2 half for sure, but Wolves have proved that they can stand toe-to-toe with this KingZero roster, and it should not be considered over until that final score ticks over to 7.
Well, immediately you can hear KZ. They're definitely not happy with how far they've been able to push through in this game yet. They want to secure it. They want to close it as quickly as possible. Wolves on the opposite end. They've got 2 rounds so far. It's a 4-2 half, but now they go to the defensive side. This is where we need to start seeing them become active within this match. They need to put up some big numbers here. And again, we saw it on Chalet. They can definitely do that in the right circumstances. We saw it on Clubhouse. The resilience is there, but going all 3 maps almost as long as all of the rounds that we can provide, or they get themselves, it's a rough one for sure.
Absolutely. But, I mean, look, they've got time. They're talking, they're communicating, trying to figure out what the best step forward is, of course. And, I mean, they've proven that they can frag when need be. Now that they're in the defense, the onus shifts to KingZero Esports. They're the ones that have to be the more proactive of the two. Obviously, as an attacker, you are battling the clock and the other team. West Wolves, they've just got to hold. They've just got to burn time and make sure that they don't give away too much ground too early.
Well, once again, Bandit and Grim on to the ban list, as we also get the Glaz and the Kaid. So basic bans coming through for the side of Wolves and KZ going into this. And I mean, just look at this. This was a massive mistake.
Yeah. Just completely played there. Unfortunately, CBK just didn't have enough. Gets swung on through that breach. But now they have the defense, the preferred side, servers, to start things off.
That's exactly what you want for Wolves. Now you're on the defensive side, so this round matters a lot. You want to make a statement and an answer to everything that's being placed by KZ. Immediately, we're going to be seeing quite an interesting Denari setup. I don't think I've really seen that in play before. Looks like they're trying to find a little bit of information there in terms of where the position is set up. But for now, it is the last bits coming through as we see the Ying introducing itself.
Yeah, I mean, the most banned attacking operator throughout the entire season kickoff here in the CNL. Not going to be banned out here in the Decider. I think teams somewhat realizing that they give as much power as they possibly can, and Ying very much offers that, but you can see Arfang very much aware of that being a possibility, brings the Warden in.
Well, the Warden in the fold. Ying, so many Candelas, so much utility up and available. Fiber as well, bringing in those smoke grenades. I think the idea was potentially to go for that Glaz pick, and with the Glaz removed off the board, well, you've got a lot of smokes, but not really anyone to use that on. Arfang's going to be having a very fun time against KZ. For Wolves now, though, it comes down to a bit of movement, waiting for the potential execution to come into play. And with 2 minutes on the board, better be ready.
Already, Fiber going to work, clearing out some of this utility on the defense. Spots the mirror window. Clears out a mute jammer as well. So huge value off of that one shock drone already, but pushing up towards that catwalk position and warehouse. Jiggle pick can come through. Sunset has an inkling, but it's Liam to draw the first blood, clearing out the mute.
That's a big pickup, and now there's going to be a lot of problems for this player up on top. As I say that, it's recap, and you cannot count him out of that position. Manages to find one. Arfang finds Lian. And we are starting to see a good statement being made by Wolves. The clearance of this player onto warehouse is not going to come through. It's perfect sight lines up and available. The Candelas begin to make their appearance as well. But for the most part, KZ, they can just wait the potential push. Oh, correction, sorry. Wolves can wait for this potential push to come through. And really, there's not much that KZ has to answer back for it.
Yeah, I mean, just this sheer determination, the coldness in that vein for Arfang right now. Candela's deep in towards electrical, jumping in with that shotgun. Momo looking for the angle, but it's a retreat back in the site. Arfang goes down. That's your Warden. That is far from ideal, but with 35 seconds to go, there's limited utility to deny. Arfang picked up, does have that nitro cell, looking to swing the corner with that shotgun, try and bait out anything. Time is dwindling. Wolves may have this in the bag if KZ crumble.
20 seconds remaining on the board. Momo, one piece of utility up and available, but it doesn't matter because Fiber's been able to find Cardi, and that's a big pickup. 10 seconds. It's coming down to the timer. Bit of a push coming in from KZ into IT. They need to clear in towards the site, but it's being watched. Sunset finds one, but it doesn't matter. Wolves answer straight back.
That was a big kill. That was a massive lineup. And they are, indeed. How do you give that opportunity away? And Wolves, that is, again, that momentum shift, that stall out that they could possibly need to bring this game to bear.
Well, I mean, we can't really say much more than this is going to be back and forth. Both of these two teams are trying their absolute hardest to make it to the major. They've gotten out of the group stage successfully, but now it comes down to the play. Look at Sunset and Fiber. Fiber runs in, immediately gets removed off the board. And Sunset, unfortunately, doesn't expect the player pushing from the back end. Gets shut down quite early. Wolves now, they'll go downstairs. No Echo being brought onto the board, but instead, it's a Solus. And, of course, the Mozzie making its entrance again.
It's going to be interesting to see how much value there is to be found off the back of the Solus, of course. Not a huge amount in terms of that gadgetry to be found. Yes, the drones will be there. Potentially an angle into the Deimos, but down to the basement, being able to get that information early is going to be invaluable.
Well, it's time for the timer to start ticking down. The sixth defender, as it's called. And that has been the biggest problem for KZ so far. In a lot of the games, a lot of the rounds that they've played, it has been the biggest problem for them, giving that much time away to make the fast execute. And then it ends up costing them. For now, though, Fiber, he'll make the drop down. Re-entrance. Make his entrance in towards the main area. And of course, clearance onto the first floor.
Absolutely. Momo not wasting any time. Definitely wants to get himself in a position to leverage something. And already, yeah, he's just making good time of it.
Well, Jan looks to jump in. Potentially finding this player sitting on that stairwell, but the clearance hasn't been made fully yet. Keep your eye. Demos and Recap, both playing still on that top floor. Could look to rotate behind KZ. We've seen it be a problem in so many rounds. Wolves have perfect members waiting to push straight on KZ. They're going to need to make this execute quite quickly. Otherwise, they're going to be pinched. 60 seconds on the board. There's potential options being considered.
Absolutely, just different testing positions, trying to prod and poke through. But this Monty Momo leading that charge down on the first floor, or down in the basement rather, depending on where you're from. Yeah, taking a bit of punishment, being threatened just a little bit, wants to get in towards that bomb site, wants to start this plant up, but is being denied just through that door into Hexo. And the flames from the Vulcan canister smoke is out, prepped and ready. They are looking for this opportunity now. But recap, with that Solus might be the difference maker here. Get that information, smoke out. They're looking to get it done, but CPK, have they not calculated for a position above? They've got support. It's KZB to find Cardi, but through the smoke, can't do anything. They just need to get the shot on. Pings through. They do. It's our fun to get it done. They take two with 3 seconds remaining. A desperate scurry towards the diffuser. Shots from above. CPK does go down, but it doesn't matter. Wolves take the round.
There was such a good position from KZ. They had the right idea. They had exactly what they needed to gain the control on that top floor, on that bottom floor, get that plant down, and then Wolves would have been in so much trouble. Instead, they left 2 players upstairs again, cleared that first floor, went straight down to the bottom floor, and then the players that were upstairs just came straight down, provided the info that they needed for where the diffuser was being planted, and shot the player from the side. It's mistakes like that that keep costing KZ. And even then, the timer running down to the very last moment. Don't get me wrong, there was a go charge in that position. It flamed out for such a long period of time. But overall, it's just these consistent mistakes being made by KZ, and Wolves seem to be capitalizing on it all. We're back to even. Now things are about to get interesting.
Tied up here. What was a best of 3 essentially became a best of 1 now. At 4-4, it is effectively a best of 5. First to 3 rounds from here puts them on to 7. There is a chance, of course, we go to overtime, but 3 rounds for either of these teams would slam that door shut, get it done, and set themselves up for what would be a truly impressive opportunity to go to that Salt Lake City Major.
You got to give it to Wolves in this case. They have fought and battled all the way through. This is the biggest telltale round they've had so far. Oh, luckily we have a shotgun. So
yeah, that could have been grim.
In the most part, however, this is the telltale round for Wolves. If they're able to secure this round, they know they can secure the primary site. They know they can secure the secondary site. That puts KZ on such a back foot. They will need to break one of those sites to maintain their appearance inside of this game. And for Wolves, they secure this. They've got every site under control. They can go anywhere over the next 3 rounds.
Yeah. That is exactly it. And already just working their way in, trying to find a foothold in the building. Control storage. I mean, a bit dicey to approach. We haven't seen the most of it so far this year, but you can almost cut the tension with a knife here.
The drone will go in. Fiber keeping an eye. They'll need to make this clearance onto the top floor. They know the extension is up and available on that second floor. If they don't clear it, they're going to be in a bit of trouble. That's for sure. For now, 60 seconds. KZ needing to find an execution point. Where are they going to move? Where is this control going to come down to? It doesn't look like there's a lot of options, but Damos is still sitting up above. Fiber gets caught, and there's only 45 seconds remaining.
It's answered back, and well, the CNL community vote leans heavily towards KZ's way. The fan vote here in chat is swung back in favor of the Wolves, who are currently sitting at a 65% favorites. Plant goes down, though. And it seems that may have swayed things just a little. 40 seconds left. Cardi for 2. It's a 2v2 in a post-plant position. Air jabs go out. Player on the catwalk. They have no clue. KZB with a big frag, and even Arfung's a little bit lost. Swings out, gets the kill. 1v1 to try and take the lead here. But just outside that window is a threat lurking around the corner. 16 seconds. You are losing out on time to try and make the clutch happen here, but he's pulled off, and this is perfect from Leon. Just has to wait, bide his time. The shot goes out. He's just missed it by half a second. Oh, that is so criminal. It's going to be a round going the way of KZ. Animation stalled to lose the round.
Oh my. How?
I give not a damn what anyone says. On paper, it may have been a KingZero round, but that was 100% earned by the Wolves. That is a very tough pill to swallow.
That has to be one of, if not the closest I have seen diffuser rounds. Incredibly down to milliseconds. The animation cancel causing the player to unfortunately not defuse. Oh man, that is absolutely rough. You've got to give it to Cardi though. Opened up. Sunset finds 2, manages to find 2 himself. Arfang finds 1, goes for the diffuser. I want to see how close this was.
Yeah. Whatever the case may be, he just could not get back on that diffuser. He'd gotten the time. He definitely had that. But for some reason, whatever the case may be, it just didn't trigger in time until about 6.5 seconds left. Oh, that is so rough. Because if he had immediately gotten on the diffuser, that was a win.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But for now, KZ, 5-4. They managed to gain a round up. And now Wolves, they'll need to find 3, preferably, in a row. Or find 2 at least to put them into OT. We could go all the way. For KZB, they've got that round secured. They need 1 more to secure themselves into a match point, series point position. Remember who they're versing. This is Wolves. They've been able to find ways everywhere to deal incredible amounts of damage on each end.
They are proving incredibly tenacious. And that could just be what gets them over that line and to Salt Lake City. But again, opportunities for mistakes running out very, very quickly.
It's got to be a lot of stress on the players, a lot of tension being put onto them at this stage. And in 40 seconds remaining, nades will go through. So a lot of utility being cleared off in towards the IT warehouse side. The operators in their current stances, it's an attempt to move this player up on top, but it's not going to do anything just yet. The shots will ring out. They try to make a peek, but remember, this is a mirror, so they gain the control into warehouse, but now they need to get rid of that mirror.
They're looking to do just that. Yokai drone cleared. Momo has a shotgun of his own playing around that electrical door. It's going to be 2 of them. Frag grenade. Oh, absolutely plays demo there.
Still inside of the warehouse section, KZB looking to find a potential option. But already, Wolves, they've down 1 player. Doesn't mean they're out of the fight just yet. Nitro cells up and available. CPK decides to go on a bit of a roam, but that's the information that they will need. With that roam, CPK is going to be incredibly caught out. 30 seconds. It's coming down to the timer on the board. Peaks will be up and available, but KZ, they need to start collapsing on this site. 20 seconds The remaining, they move in towards the site. They've got a potential plant opportunity. It's cleared by one. Make it two. But already the trade backs come in. Are we going to series point? It could be the case. The Echo drone does go through. He finds one. The second Echo is unavailable. It's a wide swinging peak. Not enough to be found. KZ will find their series point.
Yeah, I mean, KingZero just digging in their heels right now, and potentially heartbreak on the horizon for Wolves Esports, who, if not winning the game, not winning the series, have certainly won fans at the very least. This has been such an impressive showing for them, and much the same for KingZero. They are just finding these ways of innovating, forcing these unfavorable situations for their opponents, and really just making it such an uncomfortable map to play.
This has got to be the roughest position we've seen teams in a while. They must be exhausted, stressed, so strained after playing so many rounds, and KZ are finally finding their way to a potential win and moving to the Salt Lake City Major. For now, Wolves on the opposite end, they're not that far behind. It's only a 2-round difference, and they can absolutely do it here.
This is crunch time for the Wolves. Yeah, like you said, they just need to dig in their heels a little bit more. And it is not like it has been blowout rounds for KZ. They have had to fight bitterly to get the game to this point, the series to this point even. Wolves, to their credit, have proven that they are not willing to go quietly into the night.
Well, Fiber, the drone will come through, but it looks like it's just waiting for the wall to be opened up. So once again, same sort of strategy coming into the fold. A bit of movement straight in towards the connector side, putting a little bit of pressure on the opposing team, especially with that option being now up and available. Warehouse will be the other pressure point they will explore, as well as IT, of course. And it looks like that mirror charge once again is being put onto that main wall. So ace charges still up and available. And for the rest of Wolves, I mean, they've got 2 minutes to make a bit of an impact here, as does KZ.
And information is going to be so key, and KingZero only having so many drones left available. In fact, it's the two, I believe. One shock drone, and then, of course, the one real drone. So that information gathering potential is going to be limited at best. And the Deimos to go to work, trying to find CPK, catches some shots, and it's actually going to be Fiber to find the actual frag. Traded out immediately by Arthur with a minute 20 on the clock. Oh, this is where things get a bit crazy, get a bit hectic, and it can run away from you if you're not careful.
Well, the fire will dissipate, and that will be the move of KZB. He put up massive numbers in the last round. We'll need to do the same again. Shotgun in hand, finds the kill onto Lian. It's a 3v4. This might not be the end of Wolves just yet. Nade will go through from below. Ooh. But Arfang, he takes a lot of damage. The same nade is going to come up and about. One more. Momo manages to find the kill. 40 seconds remaining. Look at where KZB is positioned. He knows there's someone on the other side of that wall, but he can't give his position away. If he tries to make a move, he's going to be taken off the board, and that's exactly what it comes down to.
Recaps, it's a big frag to find Sunset and Momo to get it done here. Shamika launcher cutting off the angle in from Electrical. Super shorty for Sunset, just trying to open up that angle a little bit more to be able to contest. Walks in onto server, looking for an opportunity to plant with the Shamika launcher ringing out. The down onto Recap. Cardi pushes through to try and keep the hopes alive, and it is within one. The final round of regulation. It is either overtime or bust here for the Wolves.
Bottom floor. That's where we'll be going. Lock it down, lock it in for the final round in normal regulation. This is where things are going to be absolutely insane. KZ pushed to their limits. Wolves pushed to their limits so far. And it could be anyone's game at this stage. Both of these teams fighting it out incredibly hard and holding on to the entirety of their chances. This could go either way. And once again, the echo is not being brought by Wolves. KZ, this is where it matters. If you want to win it all, 3 minutes onto the board after the preparation phase, you better bring the big guns.
Yeah. I mean, Nafang absolutely standing tall for this team. As his recap. In fact, the entirety of the team has really pulled up in some very, very big clutch moments. And the round starts, the final of regulation. Round number 12. This is either the beginning of the end as we head towards overtime, or it is KingZero Esports locked in as the third team from the CNL heading to Salt Lake City.
Oh, I'm so nervous. I've got goosebumps going on at the moment. I don't know who's going to be able to push it through here. Wolves are so incredibly close to putting this into OT, as are KZ. They could finish it off right here, right now. Looks like we're getting a bit of movement. So open up into the warehouse side. Of course, that means that there's potentially players on that top floor. But for the most part, it looks like they're going to be in the position downstairs. Drones will go through, identifying where a lot of those players are positioned. And the timer slowly ticking down with 2 minutes remaining.
Vulcan in the smoke. They've got the deterrence, but Vulcan canisters starting to be chipped away at by the switch. Solus being targeted out here by the Deimos. They want to find Recap, take them off the board. There's just so much that Recap on the Solus can do to really disrupt the approach to site. 1:40, and that tension ever mounting. Momo takes some big damage.
The first big damage of the round. Structured straight onto the Montaigne. Not exactly what you'd want to start it off. But for now, Ian looking for potentially a way to join his teammates. It's going to be the same push from KZ that we've seen previously onto that bottom floor. It didn't work out last time. I'm not sure if it will work out this time. A cutoff has been made. Momo may decide to continue pushing down. It looks like that's going to be the idea. On the opposite end, it is Sunset. Position to go down the second set of CC stairs. Is that the idea, though? Is that the best play? 50 seconds. It's going to get spicy.
About to get hectic indeed. The time has bled away. It means it's going to be a brute force. Cardi taking some big damage. Still has the toxic canister, holding this breach aggressively. You see Lian tagged, but it's CPK to open things up. That's a big kill. Sunset down. 4 more, and they force OT, but Momo looking for a plant attempt. There's no toxic canisters there even. No aggressive swing does not pay off, but luckily Cardi is on the tools. 44 seconds in the post-plant position now, and favor swings to KingZero as they just need to bleed the clock. 35 to go. Wolves desperately trying to mount an angle to get back into the site. Momo goes down, so does KCB. It's on to Fiber. 1v3, but he can't get it done. Wolves will force OT.
We are going as far as we can go. This hasn't been answered. The way that this game has been going is so incredibly back and forth. A 6-6 on map 3. I don't think we were expecting it at the beginning, but my God, Blue Panda, has this game been absolutely insane.
I mean, the question was there coming into the start of the day between these two teams. Did Wolves have the legs to keep up with this KingZero Esports roster? I think we have our answer. Map 3, decider of a decider here in overtime. 2 rounds. All that are needed here to get it done. This could be the opportunity for Wolves to pull out the upset so far, I think, of the year.
Well, let's take this into consideration. We're going into OT. That was decided by Wolves. So they've decided to go on the defense. Technically, if we're looking at the overall right now, they have the advantage going into this OT. They've chosen to go upstairs. It is a side that they have won and have lost. So it's not exactly the best side of choice. Of course, you've got downstairs back to that second floor. You've won both rounds. Maybe save that for the last round if you have to. But for now, KZ begin their attack to this top floor. We may end up going all the way.
With Salt Lake City on the cards here, there is everything to gain and everything to lose at the same time. High risk, high reward indeed. And the question is, do you gamble? Do you look to take that risk? Or do you play it smart, play it safe, and hope that your prep pays off?
Well, immediately, drones will begin to go through. It's an information gathering game at the end of the day. And Sunset, he'll be the man to keep an eye on. He's doing incredibly well so far. 12 and 0. Well, not 12 and 0, sorry, but 12 on the board. Putting up big numbers for his team. On the opposite side, it's going to be very, very difficult for KZ to find an entry point. So far, it's just about opening up potential options of execution.
And that's exactly it. And where am I to try and deny some of that utility? And we've seen Momo on this Deimos so crisp, just baiting out positions with those frag grenades. And the asphyxiating bolts, the smoke bolts, all dumped towards that catwalk position. Sunset there as well. And these Wham I magnets just eating so much of that util.
Push through into IT. Comes in from Lian. Once again, Momo positioned underneath, could use all bits of this information to start opening up the floor. Vertical play in effect. Nade will go through. No play is going to be in that position though. 60 seconds remaining on the board as they start opening up the main wall. It's Sunset to try and find someone, but he's going to be pushed off of his position. This is coming down to the 6th defender. It's the timer that's going to affect the Wolves and KZ.
Low lurk up here from Momo. Has that frag grenade. He's thinking about potentially making a rush play. Clears out that Denari gadget, but no, doesn't even quite do that. Has to go underneath it. Reposition onto the shield just around that corner. Sunset is in a world of trouble. Recap opens. Looking for more. CPK with the Nitro. The rest of Wolves capitulate. They are one round away from a major spot.
How have we gotten here? Wolves somehow have brought it all the way back. They find themselves in the lead for the first time in this series. The entirety of the series, they find themselves in the lead. 6-7. They need to get one more round on the board and they will have a spot in the major. KZ decide to go straight back upstairs once again, but this is what it comes down to. They need to find the answer back. Even if they do, it will be downstairs from the side of Wolves to play it out. So KZ, you need to have an answer and then you need to have a different execution if you want to make it to the major.
And I mean, you look at the road to get here. Wolves finished their group 4th. Absolutely just clearing it limbo style to get through into playoffs. KZ a solid, a resounding 2nd behind All Gamers. And they very, very nearly took that game against All Gamers earlier on in the season. 7-5. Just losing in that final round of regulation time in the opening play day. But here they are, about to potentially fall short in matching that progress so far.
They said that Group B was the group of death, and it's definitely being shown by the Wolves here. They're playing exceptionally well into this game. We've seen that Wolves are able to win this top floor. They have been able to do it previously. They'll need to do it again. Arfang, Crafty, Recaps, the big members on the side of Wolves that have put up numbers. Positioned over towards the connector side. IT as well. And it looks like they're going straight for the warehouse side.
Brute force hit. Get it done. Get it cleaned up here. The Wolves, I mean, not only would this be easily the upset of the 2026 CNL season so far, but one of the reverse sweeps of all times in the wider Asian region, I would maintain, because they are playing absolutely spectacularly.
Well, immediately, it's an open up into command. And CPK has made his entrance. Any misplay from KZ now could cost them their lives. Instantly pushing up. He spots one, not able to find any of the damage. It's Momo with a shotgun. Maybe a bit of hesitation, afraid to push their life away. But for now, it slows right down. 60 seconds on the board. And for Momo and for Fiber, they'll be the first points of contact.
The E1D goes out, and I mean, psychologically, this is one of the most horrendous spots to be in for a team like KingZero. You were primed, you were in position to get it done. It has now slipped, and you can imagine that a certain level of second guessing, anxiety, hesitation has edged in. Fiber the first to fall. CPK on the push. 35 seconds to go. Separating the Wolves. They find two. Down to two. KZ are crumbling under the weight. Arfang. He looks to get it done. Leon to hold. Plant going through. And it is less than half HP for this Warden to try and clutch up the 1v3. The Wolves. They've got the door slammed shut. It is Demos on the Monty. Holding fast in the face of this KingZero roster. Not a foot through the door. Not past the line. Not to Salt Lake City. And Wolves Esports will be your third CNL representative at the major.
What a way to go. Wolves putting up round after round. The resilience that they have shown, absolutely incredible from them. And they will knock out KZ and continue their way through a beautiful set of games. Well deserved from both of these two teams. You can't count out KZ's attempts, but this was a Wolves show, and they make their way right into the Salt Lake City Major.
An organization steeped in international success adds yet another roster to its international competitive lineup as the Wolves will head to Salt Lake City. 3 of our 4 teams locked in, and there is no team as deserving as the Wolves are right now. What a showcase of mental fortitude and resilience to not just battle back from what was a demoralizing loss on Clubhouse, but a full reverse sweep into overtime to book their spot.
Oh, look, I mean, Wolves just showed that Group B was one of the hardest groups to be in for sure. I mean, like, they went up against All Gamers. They lost 2-1. There was signs of them doing really well there. Going up against OneCoin, they were able to smash that out 0-2. And now going up against KingZero, they showed that what happened up in that upper bracket quarterfinal was no fluke. And they've made their way all the way to the Salt Lake City Major. And now they fight for position. But man, what a game. And you have to give it to KingZero as well. They played exceptionally well and pushed it right to the limit. But at the end of the day, there has to be one winner.
Yeah, no, I mean, unfortunately, just maybe getting a couple of steps ahead of themselves into that matchup, just a little bit of overconfidence potentially seeping through. But I mean, when you are arcing up across the stage at your opponents, it does one of two things. It completely folds them or it motivates them to victory, and that's exactly what happened. Right now, it's time for a quick break. On the other side, we hear a little bit more from the Wolves and then look to dive and find out who our last team going to the major is. See you back soon.
我们也非常荣幸的邀请到了阿峰选手参与到这一轮的赛后采访环节。先和屏幕前的各位特勤干员们打个招呼吧。
Hello， 大家好，我是狼队的阿峰。
好的，那么在我们的正式采访环节之前，来吧，我们一起移步至对手的对战席来进行别灯仪式，为今天的全力以赴做个完美收尾。好的，再一次恭喜狼队。不防守的这个点啊，让 Captain 17是否想起了当年的诅咒呢？你们觉得最后防守取胜的关键点是什么呢？
不好意思，我现在想不了这些问题，我只知道我要去Major了，我要去Major了。
那么虽然掉入了败者组，但是现在仍然在向决赛的舞台前进，而且已经拿到了这儿的门票。请问现在的感想如何 ？Major 有什么样的目标？
太爽了，
太爽了 ！Major 有什么样的目标？大胆一点。
那直接拿冠军吧！
直接拿冠军！好的，那么4强现在已经达到预期了，野心是否会更大？以及 BO3是非常考验选手们的综合心理素质的。以后登入到国际舞台之后呢，会有更多的 BO3等待着你们，会加强队内的心理素质的训练吗？
当然会的，我是他们的心理医生。
你就是他们的心理医生啊！那么最后一个问题，想对着屏幕前以及现场的所有狼队的朋友们说点什么？
谢谢你们的支持。
好的，那么再一次恭喜狼队获得了本场比赛的胜利。那么精彩的对决还在继续，我们稍后再见吧。
Well, what an absolute ripper of a series, Tiaki. My lord. Going down game 1, dropping Clubhouse to KingZero, who looked larger to charge, and then completing the reverse sweep, forcing overtime on the decider to book themselves a spot over in Salt Lake City. That is what Rainbow Six Esports is all about.
There is no other way to put it. That was a fight for the ages. KZ up against Wolves. It was back and forth, neck and neck every single round. And on the back foot was Wolves coming into it. Everyone voted against them. Everyone was out to get them. But in this case, it was Wolves coming out on top, and deservedly so. They played exceptionally well on Chalet, did really well with almost a comeback on Clubhouse. And then Nighthaven Labs managed to string it all the way through to the end, got the deserved win, and we will be seeing them at the major.
The third of 4 teams from the CNL in the season kickoff to travel to Salt Lake City to represent the newest esports region in the Rainbow Six ecosystem. 1 to go, of course. We will look to turn our attention to the final match of the evening, but Wolves really has shown the tenacity of a region like this. China has, for the longest time in esports, been just so determined, so dogged, so unrelenting in their pursuit of success. And to find a win like that. Looking at the numbers even, well, it looks like it is a bit of a shutout. It's not really. The numbers were a little bit better for the Wolves, as much as KingZero would like that to have been the final result. But I mean, you look at Leon as well, even for KingZero, even in defeat, 37 and 21 across the series.
Yeah, look, Leon did some amazing plays, especially when we take into consideration that clubhouse game. He was the absolute shining star for KZ throughout all 3 of the matches. But you've got to give it over to the Wolves. I mean, Recap and Arfang being the 2 big ones to consider. 34-24 on their side. Absolutely beautiful from Arfang. And of course, Recap, sneaky little player, managing to always get behind the opposition teams. And there you go. MVP goes over to Recap on that Solid Snake and Azami. Look, he had a lot of major stylish plays, but at the same time, we also saw him have a few mistakes. But overall, MVP worthy.
Yeah, I mean, look, if nothing else, a very human showcase from the Wolves, proving that they aren't just the be-all and end-all, and sometimes you don't need to be the apex predator. You don't need to be the very best team in the competition to show up on the day and get yourself an opportunity like this. They were the better team today, inarguably. They were the most resilient, they were the most innovative, they were the most dogged and determined. They wanted it that much more. And well deserved, to say the very least. I mean, for showing like that, that is, I mean, if not just massive for the team and the organization as well, that is almost a region-defining matchup that we saw. But looking at things as they stand, Tiaki, there is still one more game to be played out today. Of course, it is that 4 Angry Men taking on Tyloo for our 4th and final major qualifier. Whoever wins that joins the other 3 going to Salt Lake City, and then it comes all but down to the seeding.